Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everybody from all around the world, hello and welcome back to another episode of The Welch with me, your host, Jean-Luc Welch. Let's make some noise, shall we? Let's clap it up, get excited wherever you are. We're back from break, we're back from business, and we're back talking about the world of boxing and beyond as we cover the whole dynamics and evolution of the sports world with you all on today. We got Abdullah Mason that we're going to be discussing. We got more news with Boots Ennis just now came out with a potential finally big time, or rather bigger time fight that we wanted to see with Ortiz. Now on the table per the words of Oscar De La Hoya himself. Also, we got the news with Javante Tank Davis, who might not even be fighting at all for the rest of this year. And what that means for him in terms of, well, is this actually the beginning of the end of his boxing tenure as we know it, as apparently he's not scheduled to fight again up until 2027, as well as so much more on this show that we will be discussing with you all. I'm so glad to be back with you on this show. I'm so glad to return to the World Report with you all. Again, like I said, we just came back in. I just got all my equipment set up and finally updated and reestablished. That's why we started at 2 o'clock. We were going to, we tried to get it done earlier, but like we said, as we're, settling back in, still we had to make sure we do stuff the right way. So, even though we're a little bit late in the afternoon, we still going to give you the best show possible. And since you're here, and since you're joining back in on the show, why don't you go ahead and leave a like on the video? Yes, indeed, please go ahead. Come on and like the stream. Come on and share this show with everybody that you know. Keep on liking and sharing and subscribe to the channel. Come join the empire. Be a part of the hottest show in all of the globe. If you have not already, you want to join this community, because I guarantee you it's the best place to be for all of your sports needs, as well as be sure rate us 5 stars on whatever podcasting platform you listen to. We're available everywhere on podcasts, Apple, Spotify, you name it. And please be sure to do the most important thing, which is to share the show with everybody that you know, so we can keep on building up this empire together, all with you and your support to make this possible. We already got people in the chat right now, like with Jamal. Yo, what's going on, Jamal? How you doing? Good to see you. Salute to you. Welcome back to our live stream today. We're trying to make sure we got the audio correct and set up. We don't want to be too loud, but also make sure we're sounding even kill person. We appreciate you on the show. Salute to you and everybody else in the chat, on the live, whoever is just listening and watching. We appreciate you joining in with us today, and we're so glad that you're here. Also, we got more people in the chat, like with the likes of Ryan Grace. Ryan, what's going on? Welcome back. Good to see you. Salute to you, and we appreciate you joining in. And we got a whole bunch of stuff to cover on this show. Now, granted, I'll be completely honest, I tried to keep up with as much as I could. I may have missed some things, so this might be a little bit earlier of a championship rounds aspect for you all to be able to see or have your voice be seen and heard, just so you can feel me, some stuff that I may have missed while I was gone. But what I do know is that we're going to start off with the biggest news, or rather one of the biggest topics of the day, which is the fight that happened last week, and that is Abdullah Mason going and fighting against Albert Bell in what was a very closer than what I expected to be type of fight that ended in a dramatic KO victory for the young lion in the world of Abdullah Mason. That's right. And that's what we're going to start our show first on today's episode. As we got to make sure we got, there we go. Okay, had to make sure we had our sound still working correctly as we're getting ready to transition. Mason KO'd Albert Bell, and he KO'd him. Mind you, Albert Bell came into this fight on short notice. It was a fight that was going to be Joe Cordina. Joe Cordina had to step out. I forget what reason why. Albert Bell is a late replacement, and all of a sudden Albert Bell 28-0 with 8 KOs on his resume. Not the biggest puncher, but somebody who's a very crafty, skilled boxer. What could Albert Mason do against somebody with some legitimate levels of experience and know-how, and potentially in terms of technical work could give him an off type of night, potentially a bad type of night? And hey, I'm not gonna lie, for a good 6 rounds, this was a little bit, we got scared. I got scared. I'm telling you, I am high on Abdullah Mason. But this fight had me scared a little bit as we were going to get into the second half of the fight, because the scorecard had it, it was Albert Bell taking the first roughly 6 rounds wholeheartedly in his favor. But once it turned into round 7, we finally got to see Abdullah Mason not only dig deep, but adapt and change. And it was a fight that, hey, the brother pulled it out in the end, and on my own scorecard account, he needed at least a knockdown going into round 12 to turn this fight fully into his favor for a victory. Not only did he get the knockdown, he got the knockdown in the first, couple seconds of the 12th round, and ultimately ended it with a devastating KO, a hook on top of the head that had Bell going slump to the canvas, and it ended up being the end of the fight, and that was it. Brother goes in and gets a knockout and finishes the job with the ref waving off the count. And Abdullah Mason continues to reign as the youngest champion in boxing right now, and one of the most exciting fighters still in all of not just 135, but in all of the sport entirely. And hey, look, credit to Abdullah Mason for his ability to go and from a very frustrating standpoint of a fight where things just weren't able to go in the full-blown destructive way that we all thought, at least I thought we would see this fight going, he was still able to work through the adversity and find successes where they were available and build on them, which was incredibly impressive for somebody that is so young. And generally, if we saw somebody have trouble in this type of vein, go into a situation where, hey, you need to really pull it out the fire, sometimes don't always work that way. But for Abdullah Mason, it in fact did. And also, let me keep on reading you all's chat before I continue on forward into the breakdown of this fight. Had that Abdullah fight close, but I had Abdullah winning a lot of rounds. I had to fight 7-4 for Abdullah at the end of the 11th. I had it closer. I'm not mad at this scorecard. If you had it 7-4 going into the 11th, understandable. Like I say, you could pinpoint this as there were some significant points in the fight that, hey, Abdullah Mason was taking some control. Abdullah Mason was getting what he wanted. And, okay, he did enough. He should win that round. Close round, he should win it. Not a close round, he should win it. I get that. But for me, it was too much of a uncertainty standpoint that I could comfortably say, hey, yeah, I got it 7-4, and I know the judges may view it the same way. I wasn't feeling that type of way in this fight, and I genuinely felt, even if I had Abdullah up in my own account by 1 or 2, which again I had him down going into that 11th round. Even if I had him up, I still wouldn't have believed the judges to give it to him because of the amount of, crazy enough, I'm not going to call it survival, but Bell made Mason really have to work to get his stuff done. And we had to see Abdullah turn this into a fight. I'm not saying he was getting outboxed completely. I'm not saying, oh my gosh, this buddy got exposed to Kingdom Come. He's a fraud. I'm not saying that. You're not going to see me go insane, all of a sudden running to the rafters, having everybody saying we need to make a bunch of noise. Abdullah Mason ain't worth the hype. Abdullah Mason ain't worth the bravado. This buddy's a bum. I'm not saying that. You ain't hearing me say that. You're not hearing me say that we have some problems. It was just understood. Watching this fight, there is a good chance if Abdullah Mason loses this fight, it's not out the realm possibility. He needs something substantial to seal this win. The beauty of it was he got it. That's the thing. He got it. Abdullah Mason, in beating Albert Bell in a very good win, Mason beating Bell showed me the ability of Mason to further push beyond his youth and age. And what we said with Terrence Crawford, we got to see a little bit of that when it came to Abdullah Mason. This is not me saying that Abdullah Mason is as good as Crawford. Let me get that out the way now, because we know people will take stuff and run with it. We're not saying that, and I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is we needed to see Terrence Crawford in a fight that even if he was up, it was close. He needed to solidify some stuff to get the job done and to get this thing fully in his favor. He went and did it. turned the fight into a fight when it needed to happen, flipped the switch and went to a gear to go and leave his opponent in the dust, caused his opposition to feel overwhelmed and overstimulated by the offense and action that was coming into the ring across from him. We got to see Albert Mason do a semblance of that in this fight. We needed him to get a KO, or at least a knockdown. We needed him to flip a switch to turn this into a different type of fight. He did it. His coach was adamant with him. His coach got into his face and said, hey, buddy, you need to make something shake. And he did just that without any hesitation. We had seen no kind of a slow bit of him getting into the face of Bell more easily. The legs of Bell starting to tire. The body work that we talked about with Abdullah Mason working more and more and being more fervently debilitating as the fight went on, as we saw the face and fatigue of Bell be more on display for the crowd to realize, hey man, this buddy using his legs and trying to box, it's not working the same way as it was in the first half of the fight. Something shifting in the favor of Abdullah Mason. We saw that in increments. But then when it came, okay, it's now or never. When it came down to a now or never situation, Mason went for it. He went for it. Absolutely. In fact, I think we had something about Terrence Crawford talking about earlier in the night. Shoo Terrence had a fight. Then again, I thought he was going to win, and he did win, but it was a very, for a lot of people, lackluster or concerning performance. Terrence Crawford talked about, in comparison to Carrington, Shoo, that same instance of, okay, it's time to turn it up, get this guy out of here, or, show your levels. He didn't do it in the way that we wanted to see a caliber fighter like him go and completely take over, like he said he can, and like we've seen him do in the past against other opponents. We didn't see that tonight. Now, it could have been a one-night situation. Could have just been a bad night. We understand that. We're not harping on him. We're not jumping on him. But in direct comparison, fight like with Mason, we saw when it came down to show that difference in a very night and day situation, he did it. Incredibly impressive. And again, Albert Bell ain't no joke. Fighting Albert Bell on short notice is not no joke. Albert Bell fighting Abdullah Mason is incredibly admirable on his part. Just getting the opportunity with, what was it, a week out? I forget how much. Not much time to study each other. I get that. I'm not using that as a lack of context. I'm simply saying what we saw from Mason really did do something to me, to say everything out in the world, or at least what I thought this guy can be, in his maturity, in his what's the word, perception of urgency, to capitalize on the moment when a moment needs to be capitalized on. He did it. He did it. And when he needed to get the job done, he got the job done. And I'll tell you what, that's the makings of somebody that for a long time, he can be a champion. He's only, 21, 22, something around that range. This cat, yeah, he's good. He's more than good. This buddy's going to be a problem. Because this is just a start. I keep telling you, this is just a start of his career. And he's going to be so incredible as he continues to elevate his game. If he's already showing urgency like this, when the time comes and he capitalizes on it, I tell you what, it's impressive to me. Incredibly impressive to me. But let me keep on reading your chat. I saw a lot of good things from this brother, Ibrahim Mason. Oh yeah, Ibrahim Mason also. I think I didn't all three of them fight with each, or fight not with each other, but then they all did fight on the same card in Cleveland. I think all of them fought on the same card together. I think most of them did a pretty good performance on the whole. At the sixth round, I saw a possible 5-1 in favor of Bell, 3-3, 2-3 in favor of Abdullah Mason. Didn't Bell get a point taken away? I cannot remember if Bell got a point taken away. I don't. Did he get a point taken away? I'm not exactly sure. Understand? I can look it up while we're talking. But as I'm looking up if Bell got a point taken away, the biggest thing about Bell and Mason with this fight in particular, this was, for a lot of people, I'm not going to say the first time seeing them, but a very 4th of July weekend, where everybody's sitting around the couch or the house trying to go after the fireworks and see what's going to happen as, in charge of just something to entertain them. Then the World Cup matches ended at that point. This was a big stage for Mason to show the public, hey, I'm a different breed from what you've seen from others. And I'm a guy to follow. And I think what he did at the end of the fight might have garnered some real potential staying power. Yes, the name of Bell isn't all that big. I understand. There's going to be some criticism. I understand. But on the whole, I think this is a great upside for the likes of Bell, for the likes of Mason, when he goes in this fight. And also, don't forget, now that this is the first title defense of Abdullah, I believe this is the first title defense, first or second title defense of Abdullah Mason. Now we can start looking at the bigger names in the world of 135 that we would like to see him fight against now after this performance. Particularly, potentially, Murataya, which I would not be mad at seeing. Be clear. Now we have to start talking about Mason. Already he's one of the biggest names in the, ethos of 135. We understand it. Already, big time talent, huge knockout ability, great entertainment, and a full-blown champion. After beating Bell, crossing this benchmark of barometer, unification, what I would like to see next. And hopefully, it would be going up against Alexis Murataya. If that fight is indeed something that can get agreed upon sooner rather than later. Because I'll be clear, that fight for Mason probably is the most dangerous fight at this stage of 135. Either him or either Mason and Murataya, or Mason and potentially Schofield. Without some people view Schofield as this, entity of destruction. Which again, he is a real destructive fighter. Absolutely. But as an on the table matchup, we can get that happening maybe, if not the end of this year, maybe early next year in January, February. I'd be gung ho for it. Me, I'd be excited for it. Because now I want to, I'm excited to see somebody this young potentially continue the example that we saw with Xander Zayas and try to go and get everything early on. And there's a lot of killers at 135 that, again, he can not just hold his own. His brother can win, even if you may view him as an underdog, which for most fights, he wouldn't be. But maybe some that might be 50-50. Now, Murataya fight may be one of them. It could be, and I would love to see it. Let me see. Murataya has a fight with Robinson Conceição right now. I understand that. I know he's got a fight with Conceição, and that fight, again, I'm believing after that, this is the opportunity to get them to clash with each other, in my estimation. After Murataya and Conceição fight against each other, if Murataya does not opt to potentially move up to 140, as you know, he still wants to get the fight with Shakur Stevenson if it's possible. That's the biggest money-making fight that we can see on his resume of potential opportunities. Again, if that fight ever doesn't come to fruition. But if not, and we don't see Shakur come down to 135 or Murataya move up, he could stay put. And now, with already the experience of Murataya in the bag, Mason versus Murataya after Conceição, I think would be that'd be a good fight. Would it not? I think it would be. Murataya is going to stop Conceição and will beat Mason by decision. I think, and this is where the question comes into play now. After this performance, are you higher or lower on the stock of Mason to go and be able to be the ruler of this division at 135? Or are you a little bit concerned when dealing with the other big-time players, specifically Schofield, Murataya, as they can stop this rise to stardom and rise to crowning moment? Because But what Mason did against Bell to pull this fight into a fight, I gotta go and flip a switch and get the job done. To do that, incredible. To get the knockout, when in my opinion, we needed it, to emphatically stamp this fight in his favor, to go and show calmness in the face of some legitimate adversity where everything was not going as smoothly as we expected it to be. All that's impressive. Doesn't take away from there's going to be some criticism because of some of what we saw with Shushu Carrington saying, Shushu, you didn't look anywhere close to what we thought you would look like defending your title after, you've been calling out in a way, after you've been saying you're the best at 126, after all this noise that you've been talking about, you're not doing, fight. Again, I thought he was going to be be able to go and dominate in. Had us asking a lot of questions that we didn't think we need to ask. Mason, somewhat, is in that same boat. Because a lot of people didn't know Bell, and the expectation was, Mason's going to knock him out, do it emphatically. Everybody gather around, this was going to show you a show. And he ended up being in a real concerted effort of needing to pull out a victory. Doing that against doing that against Bell, who is a good fighter. It's different than doing that against Murataya. It's different than doing that against somebody who is not just a reigning champion, but somebody who has a good argument that he may be top 2 in the world of 135 right now, which is not far-fetched in the slightest. I would think it's not far-fetched at all. For me to say that Murataya isn't in the position of top 3, top 2 in the world at 135, I think that'd be ludicrous. Because he deserves the type of acclaim for who he beat and what he's now shown his skill set to be. And I don't think I'm wrong in that perspective. Mason's now in that immediate, tangible light now. Not just because he's champion. But now this is the next logical step of how Mason's most likely was once going to want to go throughout his career. And there may be some concern that this brother, some of the same struggles, some of the same issues that we saw with Bell may show up against Murataya and a more dangerous, powerful opponent. Has your stock may have dropped, or had your stock dropped slightly on the idea that Mason's going to clean up and clean house like we thought he could at 135 before we saw the fight with Bell? Or are you still firmly in, this guy's everything that we thought? I want to hear your thoughts on the matter. There were adjustments, but hold on, let me read above that. The stock didn't get higher, but it didn't get lower. Personally, I didn't rate Bell that high. That's fair. There were adjustments, but that's because Mason was more physically gifted than Bell. Absolutely. The adjustments I saw from Murataya against Farmer the other day were so night and day. Murataya has a very high IQ that I think would rival Tank and Shakur. Now, to say now again, we may disagree on the height of Murataya's IQ. I don't think he's Shakur level intellect, but that does not mean I don't think he's incredibly smart. And physically, this man is also a powerhouse in his own right. He is. It wasn't just because he was outthinking Andy Cruz, which is the most significant win in his career thus far, that he beat Andy Cruz. He was also physically able to go and not just withstand whatever Cruz threw at him, but manipulate Andy Cruz once he got him where he wanted him to be, and do some serious, some really significant shots. Murataya is a fighter that on a physical versus physical level. Mason isn't just going to be the only live dog that, I can move you out the way and be whoever I want to be against you. It ain't going to be like that. It's going to be a whole lot more balanced from the perspective of the physical array of the game. Couple that with the fact that Murtai got some SWAT in him as well. He ain't going to be moving backwards like we saw with Albert Bell. It's not disrespect to Albert Bell. It's not. What I was saying in this fight, we saw Bell moving around a lot. Again, more so, I'm not going to say trying to survive. Though in the second half of the fight, yeah, it looked like he was just trying to do a little bit what we saw with Caleb Plant. When his legs normally give out, hey, I'm tired now. I can't punch with this brother like I want to. He's starting to hurt me. I just need to stay up, survive, and use my legs to try to get around the ring, make myself as hard to hit as possible so I can continue to go and potentially get this win. Failed him, failed Bell, as we saw what happened. Even the commentators were saying that it looked like Bell might be trying to survive and just stay up in these last couple rounds to potentially pull out a victory for the work he had done in the first 6 on the undisputed scorecards. And to a degree, what I saw, yeah, that was true. But we're not going to see Murtai move in the same backwards fashion that we saw against Bell. We're going to see Murtai come forward. We're going to see that. We're going to see Murtai be in the midst of the real scolding iron that we've seen Mason be able to throw. Yeah, Mason's got killer instinct, absolutely. Yeah, Mason has now shown he can pick it up when need be and go from boxing to straight up swarming and brawling at the drop of a hat, and he'll commit fully to it. We've seen it can be dangerous. We know that. We also know Murtai it ain't no slouch either that can turn it up, but if you get too aggressive like that, you may just run yourself into a shot that might just buckle your knees. And you won't be able to hit him back. Because he's incredibly sound on most fronts when it comes to defensive boxing. But he still is wanting to push out some offense and damage. It's going to be, it'll be a more, if I was to see that fight with Mason versus, if I was to watch that fight between Mason versus Murtai, I had to make sure I got names right. I don't know why I was stuttering. But that fight between Mason and Murtai, if we got to see it happen, it would be a more refined but aggressive version of what we saw with Noakes and Abdullah Mason. Not from the standpoint of, yeah, they'll both just be head to head, neck to neck, boom, we right here, and we just throwing. It's not going to be that brutish. But it will be a battle of strength and power. With both fighters having the capacity, I can box you while in the midst of this fight. So we're still going to be head to head. We're not going to be shoulder to shoulder. It's going to be some real good, skillful work, but all within that mid-range to potentially close-range area. It's going to be a lot harder to find some openings. At the same breath, we both ain't or not going to be afraid to let some leather fly. We're just not. And if any of us see something go down, oh, there's an advantage I can take. We're going to jump on it quicker than nearly any of the other opponents we've faced respectfully in our careers. At least with the most balanced level of destruction versus destruction facing off against each other. It's going to be, if we ever get that fight, but that's going to be interesting. That's going to be a fun fight to have. I'm telling you, I can't wait. I cannot wait. I cannot wait for it at all. Word to that. I'm trying to make sure I get you all to chat. I know styles are very different, but do you think Mason is better than Andy Cruz? Mason is more, Mason as a, that's a good question. That's actually a really good question. Hold on a minute. That's actually a really good question. And actually, that actually leads into the topic I was supposed to have, and I didn't. Hold on, I didn't put it up here. I'm gonna make some stuff on the fly. Here's Mason, like we had in the thumbnail. This was this is supposed to be a question that we had up here in regards to this fight and subsequently the division as a whole. I forgot to put it up here. This is not me saying that he is overhyped. Be clear. I don't think he is. But this is a question that some people may be asking. So we're going to leave it to the public and we're going to have a discourse. But to answer this question, because it leads into this type of situation or this type of topic, Mason is a better Mason's a better physical athlete than Andy Cruz. Andy Cruz is a better pure boxer than Abdullah Mason. He is. He is. Andy Cruz is a better. Let me make sure I'm saying this right. Andy Cruz is a better skillful boxer. Footwork, jab, movement, all that stuff. All the stuff you want a boxer to do and be, he is, in that respect, more polished and better and uses more of those tools than Abdullah Mason. Abdullah Mason is a way better fighter when it comes to going and bringing the fight to his opposition, making and breaking openings in the game of his opponent, being able to finish the show also because he's stronger. For right at this point in time, I would say on the whole, they're similar with each other. If you want to go skill for skill and everything else, physicals put into perspective. But I think he's going to be better than Andy Cruz. Concretely. Probably by next year. Because Andy Cruz can still beat Abdullah Mason right now. Yeah, he can. He can. He can. This isn't me saying that he will be the favorite. Andy Cruz can definitely beat Abdullah Mason right now. Murataya can definitely beat Abdullah Mason right now. Especially with what people may have as a critique of this fight. There's a lot of people that may be saying Abdullah Mason may not be, in their respective mind, still a phenomenal, incredible talent that is going to flourish. But right now, he hasn't bloomed in the full way, only because it's early in his career, which is fine. And so to say that he would potentially not be better than some of the already established people in this division, even as champion, that's a fair thing to say. It's not bad. That's fair to say. I think he will be better than them outright by next year. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. But as of right now, he is on the same playing field as Cruz and as Murataya, in my mind. He's, at this age, he's here. Andy Cruz, Murataya, Mason. Mason, because of the title, elevated above both of them, sure, with respect to the championship, but on a just fighter level, he's on their same level at this point in time. If you think he's a little bit worse, that's fair. A little bit better, that's fair. But at this point in his development, I see him as he's right there. But by next year, he's going to be clearly above him. I can't say that he's better than them. Fully. Maybe you saw, if he was better than them, Albert Bell would not have been as difficult of a matchup as what we saw last weekend. He would. If he was, if he had beaten Bell unanimously, which again, I'm not saying I'm rating Bell like you. I'm not rating Bell incredibly highly. I do understand though. Bell is a fighter that he can give you a whole lot of trouble. Even if you are built like that from the perspective of a championship level fighter. It just the way he fights is just something that can make people look not like their best. If you were above Murataya concretely, you would have got him out of there 7, 8 rounds. Or by the time you got the knockout, it would have been a clean sweep or close to it. And that would have been okay. Hey, yeah, these other two, they wouldn't have been able to do that. That's something different. This brother might just be better than everybody else here. Because this guy ain't the best guy. But most people at this division wouldn't be able to do this to this guy in this type of sustained fashion. That's something we got to respect. Now, yes, Albert Bell had never lost. 28-0. But do I think Murataya and others would have been able to beat him? Yes, I do. But would they have struggled as much? I don't know. This is not me using triangle theory. It's not me using triangle theory. Be clear. I'm not trying to say because he struggled against Albert Bell, now we know Murataya is going to take him out. We're not doing that. We're not doing it. But I'm just telling you right now. This type of performance by Mason, I'm almost assured, would look completely different if he had fought him 2027. Because by 2027, I guarantee you, this whole conversation of he's on the same playing field as Murataya or playing field as Andy Cruz, it's not going to be a conversation afterwards. It's not. Either because he beats one of them or straight up, he beats Schofield. Either he beats one of them or he gets Schofield. One of the two. Either way. After that, we're going to see for sure. Okay, yeah, this brother, it's a different level above. After that, I'm expecting there's no more balanced level ground between those three. And that point, Mason, that's the leap I'm looking for. Because I think that he's still developing his boxing talent. His best attribute right now is his ability to fight. Right now, the best thing about Abdullah Mason, he can fight better than most people in this division. Straight up. That's his best weapon. Boxing, yeah, sure he can do. He got speed. He's getting better defense day by day. He's getting better at, utilizing his jab, cutting off the ring, all that stuff. As an aggressive boxer, he is getting better. But as a fighter, straight up fighting, that's his best weapon, outright. But once those tools, again, get more refined, I promise you, when that switch flips finally, and he puts that stuff together, it's going to be night and day. It's going to be night and day. I guarantee you it's going to be night and day. I promise you it will be night and day. Let me see. Definitely overhyped. He doesn't have the IQ to reach the higher levels of elite boxing, I feel. I don't agree with that. Now, hold on now. I don't think that. I don't believe that. I think he does. I do believe he's got the caliber of talent to get up to the elites of boxing. I do believe. I'm not saying he's going to be perfect. Because definitely ain't nobody going to be perfect right now. We don't believe in perfect records as the end-all be-all of who you are. I'm not saying he's never going to lose. But I'm saying as a fighter, as a real fighter, I think he'll get up there. Because he's already in that conversation now. Unless you can see somebody else that can come to face off and concretely beat him outside of Schofield, Cruz, and Murataya at 135. Those are the three definites. Outside of that, everything else is kind of They can give him a good fight, but most likely they won't beat him, or he's going to knock him out. That's what the perception is for Mason right now in the world of 135. I think that's part of the elite caliber. I do. That's fair. I think that's fair. But if you think he's overhyped, that's fine. I would agree in some respects. Because some people are overhyping Abdullah Mason. Some people are. This is not me being contradictory. We're speaking on the global appeal, or rather the global outlook of Mason right now. Abdullah Mason, in some respects, might be pushed in a way that his talent isn't up to yet, but the potential is so high that they're already talking about him in certain regards. That I can agree with. I can agree with. I can understand that perception. I think he can get there. At the same breath, I'm not putting him there yet to where, boom, I think this brother's, you can't touch him at all. No, you can't. He's not going to be able to right now, 140, 147, 154, get ready. Everybody clear some space. He's running through right now. No. There's some people that talking like this, but he's going to be the top 3 in the world by the time he's 24. I'm not saying that, nor should anybody. There are some people that are not taking into account the flaws that we witnessed. Why did he struggle against Bell? Why was it that even though he was getting to cut off the ring, even though he was able to walk down and get to Bell, he was losing rounds in a fashion where, man, I really thought he would take it to him. Why was it that until he just went and straight up turned it into a fight, this brother might have been on some people's scorecards on the back burner? Is there some boxing that still needs to be refined? Yes. Is there some defense that can be better? Yes. Is there some ring generalship that needs to be and will be added on and elevated with time and experience? Yes, but it's not there right now. And can we say definitively he's the best brother at 135? Right now, we cannot. Nor should we. Even with this win over Albert Bell. Because again, Albert Bell, while undefeated, while a good fighter, this isn't a bad win on his resume. And like Ryan Gray said, it isn't something that is going to elevate him evermore. But at the same breath, it ain't going to put him down to Kingdom Come because he didn't have a fully dominant performance in the way of it wasn't close. He stayed right where he was. Which, for somebody for Abdullah Mason, reaching this level, that's exactly what you hope you want from him. He stays right there. He stays right there. Because that's what should happen. He should be staying right where he is in the perspective of the mind's eye of the boxing fan at 135. This is where he's at. This is where he ranks. This is who he can beat. This is who he can't beat right now. This is who can upset him. This is where he should be. But he's still a champion. So because of that, he is garnered the respect of one of the best in the division. But he is not immovable. He is not unshakable. And he sure enough is not the best dude out there right now. But he is within that conversation. And he wants to be in that conversation and is fighting like he deserves to be in that conversation, as we've seen over the course of his career, which is good. But now the rubber's going to start meeting the road more fervently than ever. Sam Noakes was the biggest jump in will, competition, and grit of a fighter that can shake you up. That's the one that's going to do it. If you can survive that, you may be able to survive anything. But it's your biggest leap and your first opportunity at a title shot. Passed the test, got it done, hurt him multiple times, got clipped but kept on trucking, showed stuff about his game, showed stuff about his heart. Everybody's excited. As much as that showed a great portion of Abdullah Mason's ability starting to unravel, rather starting to unfold for the public to see, started the process of being able to bloom, Bell brought out a different segment of conversation and questions that needed to be answered. Did he answer them? Yeah. But he didn't answer them in a way that we can just say, yeah, that's it. That's all. That's the best we got. These are the greatest things since sliced bread. Nobody should be saying that. Nobody. Nobody. If you are overhyping what was, in my opinion, a good win that showed some stuff, but it sure enough is not the win to go and all of a sudden say everybody else in this division is obsolete. In that respect, yeah, he's overhyped. But in the future outcome of Mason, I don't think he is. Because I strongly believe whatever heights I don't see him at right now, he will be able to get to. He will. And he will be able to last the test of time as his time to fight more dangerous people and unify this division draws closer and closer. Because to a degree, the way he fights, he might have to. Because this is a sink or swim sport. And if you don't swim, no matter how much women believe in you or not, this sport will sink you. It will. And we've seen it multiple times before. We have seen it multiple times before. What you got to do, 135 cheerleaders, I got to think about that. Honestly, I got to think. And like I said, I just came back. Okay, I'm trying to give you all the best I got. That's going to take some time for me to think about what the amount of names that are at 135. Also including Lomachenko, who now is wanting to make a return to the ring. So that's a good. That's gonna be a couple tiers. I got to think about what that would be like. But yeah, making one ain't no problem. Can we talk about Bruce Carrington? Will literally get stopped by Inouye and Espinosa. You know what? Perfect. That's actually a great way to segue into the next topic of discussion, because not only did we get to see Mason go and fight and have a dramatic win, over Bell, excuse me. But now we also got to see Shoo Shoo Carrington. Honestly, we have to see. In fact, hold on. Before I continue, let me actually type this title out right. I don't know why the stuff ain't saving. See, this is the part of making stuff when you're returning. Some settings don't save, and so some things that you set up for this show, they don't save when you set everything back up for it to actually go live. So I gotta type out my stuff real quick to make sure you all see. Oh man. Yeah, there we go. Shoo Shoo versus Inouye is a topic of discussion for the next segment of this show, because after this fight, what we saw when it came to Shoo Shoo, I don't want to hear nothing else about anybody saying anything that Bruce Carrington would be a competitive fight for Inouye in the slightest. You have to understand, unlike what we saw in the last fight that Carrington had to kind of set his foot on the map when he was fighting in New York City, this was a fight for Carrington. This was supposed to be a gimme. This was supposed to be a gimme. This was supposed to be a fight that without any problems at all, Carrington was supposed to show up, get a dominant win, continue his rise to stardom power, and against Renee, who again with respect was 19-0. I think he had a draw on his resume, if I'm not mistaken. But look substantially substantially more, what's the word? Looked substantially more about that championship life than what we saw. It was a lackluster performance. I'll be honest. It was a lackluster performance. It was lackluster. It was nothing to write home about, let alone it was anything of real impressive note. None at all. This fight, and again, going back to what Terrence Crawford said, and in fact, if I can find the clip of what he said, I'll play it for you. But going back to Terrence Crawford, I think he said it best about Carrington, and about he just didn't. There was no. There was no, forget no excitement. There was no, okay, show your level. There was no elevation to show separation. There was no, Shoo didn't show us against an opponent that was supposed to be a showcase fight to show your skills, again, with respect to Renee, keep you busy, and have yourself continue your rise to stardom as one of the biggest names in the division. Set yourself up for a fight, if not with Espinoza, then with an Inoue who you've been waiting on for all this time. This was supposed to further invest yourself into the stock of the viability. You can beat Inoue, you can beat Bam, or you can go and run the table at 126. And this fight did none of that. In fact, I found a clip of Terrence Crawford talking about this fight and Timothy Bradley. I'm gonna play them both for you so you can see exactly what we got going on. And I see you in the chat. That Carrington fight should have been a lot closer. Yes, it should have. Thank you. Thank God. I'm glad you said it. It should have been a lot closer. It should have been a lot closer. I was falling asleep for that call. I was falling asleep for that fight. That fight was boring. I've never seen a boring Shoo Carrington fight before up until now. And this was supposed to be built to where it wasn't boring. This isn't just because, he had a knockout in his last fight that was so impressive. This is not me saying because of that. You got to live up to that. This is just in general. We know Shoo Carrington, how he fights. This was bad on his part. And not just because, a knockout didn't come. There was a lack of... This brother did not fight up to what he has said his ability is. I think he even called out this fight. This was going to be a knockout before. And it just didn't happen. Forget the knockout. This was the fight that had the arena going to sleep. And this brother was just simply not good on the night. This was more than just a bad performance, one-off night. But you got made to look like you were struggling. When I was watching the fight, you got made to look like you were not. But how good are you? You got in a. This wasn't just, you just weren't doing your normal stuff. But I was seeing like you couldn't do the stuff that you wanted to do. There was a level of pushback from the opposition this was more than just not a bad night. This was more than just a fight. You just didn't have it in you like you normally do. This was more than just a fight where you were, you might have partied too much, or you might have gone through and just had too much to drink, didn't have enough to sleep, and something just felt off. It wasn't that. You were not allowed to do what you wanted to do. And it didn't even look like you could step it up when you needed to. Again, as in contrast to Abdullah Mason. And I finally found a clip, like I said with you all earlier. Terrence Crawford put this perfectly for what we all has witnessed on that night with Shoo. And I'll play it for you right here so you can see exactly what's going on. But this is Terrence Crawford's opinion that I think is correct in regards to this whole situation with Shoo Carrington, having a bad night going up against an opponent that honestly should not have been this type of stagnated trouble. in a in a championship fight when he's still trying to campaign that in a way, and him is not just the biggest fight, but he is the guy to beat. We should make sure everything's working accordingly. Let's not play this in 4K so that we're not getting any stuttering. I got good Wi-Fi, but yeah, we ain't up to that level. But let me play it right here so you all can witness and see what he had to say.
What did you see from Abdullah Mason there, that 12th round, but the entire fight?
Well, listen, he showed us something that we was looking for in Shushu Carrington.
Yes.
He turned the next gear.
Yeah.
We was looking for Shushu to, go into that next gear, but he never did. Abdullah showed us what it is, how to turn it up. He turned the fight up. He started going to the body. He did something different. One thing wasn't working, so he went to the next thing. And that's how he got the victory tonight.
It's weird sitting between you two because it took me back to the I'm down, and my bad, bro. And he turned it up.
Unbelievable.
I'm sorry, that was a shame.
No, it was the look back that I just got right there. That was crazy.
I'm sorry, the interaction between Crawford and Porter, it was funny. But this is when Crawford was referencing Mason in the fight. He brought up, Mason did what Shushu we wanted to see, but he didn't do. More importantly, it looked like he couldn't do. And with Timothy Bradley, which again, I've had a lot of things to say about how I feel about him and some aspects of what he says. But I think he hit this right on the money when it came to Bruce Carrington and how Shushu just did not show up. To some degree, it's his own fault. But I'll let it play right here.
A lot of unanimous decisions today.
That fight right there took the air out of the damn show.
Tell me the truth.
Talk about falling asleep.
Yeah.
Oh, no, they got you, too.
Oh, dang. Man, you go hard to stay focused. I mean, come on, man. You got to give us something. Unfortunately, you live, bro. And I know it's your first time on the fence, bro, but you got to do more. Like, if you're able to hit a guy that much and dominate him that much, bro, like, you got to at least have the killer instinct to finish him, man. And it almost seemed to me like he ran out of juice. Like, I know what they were saying on the broadcast. I disagree wholeheartedly. However, it was like, at the end, I was like, come on, man, step on the gas, finish this guy. Get him up out of here. It's that easy, right?
Yeah.
Disappointing.
And here's the thing, right? So you're new to this, and we said, hey, get ready for them to come after you, right? One thing that fighters do, they watch what we say to them, right? On these broadcasts, we're always talking past them. We're answering the questions to you. We're telling the fans, I'm talking to you right now, Shushu. You got to do more, big dog. Moments like that can't happen no more. You're better than that right there. Get creative. Do what you do best. Be a fighter, man. He's a Brownsville kid. He got it.
Yeah.
But he's not showing it.
I think that's what we all was talking about before the fight.
Talk past him again, my man.
Seeing what he was going to do, if he was going to step on the gas and fight. He didn't do that tonight. I think he just fought the fight just to win.
Yeah.
He didn't change gears.
You said that was going to be, you thought that might be the fight of the night, if I'm not mistaken. Did you say that?
I actually did.
Yeah.
And I feel like, kind of is what it is. It was his fault that fight wasn't more of what it could have been.
And that right there is the problem. Everything they said in this situation is correct. And again, like I said, I don't own this footage. This is not mine. This is all his own and others. Just so you all know, I'm not about to get copyrighted or anything. But we use this to say everything they said was right. And again, what Sean Porter said at the end, it is Shushu's fault of what we saw on that night. Again, I don't think he was able to do more, unlike with Sean Porter, because like Terrence Crawford said, I think he ran out of juice. He couldn't go and do anything else, or he wasn't able to see the other avenues to go and have the same level of exciting success that he's had in the past against other opposition. He wasn't able to go and pivot and do other things. But it was his own fault, because it didn't even look like he went to try to do any of those other things. It was more than boring. It was concerning, because the ball was entirely in Shushu's court to make a difference on what this would look like, what this fight could have been, and how this fight what this story could have been written as. And there was no urgency to go and take out this is not calling his opponent trash, but take out the trash. Handle your business. Get the job done. Because you ain't getting paid for overtime. Same mean you're going to get a knockout, but it does mean that you're actively working to go and get a impending end to what this fight is supposed to be. Even if you fail, you're showing that you're doing everything that you can. And clearly, Butters couldn't have happened. This isn't bad critiquing. This is appropriate because you're talking about you're going to fight anyway. You are actively not fighting Espinoza, Lee, or Leo, Angelo Leo, Figueroa. You ain't looking at any of these other competitions and fighters at 126 in a division that has a whole abundance of conversation, of competition, and yet you're still talking about the guy at 122 in any way, which is fair, fine. You can do that, but if you do that, you better be able to perform on a night-to-night basis in a way that makes us believe everything about you. And right now, this criticism doesn't make us believe anything about you. Because if you took this type of fight, especially when it's your opportunity to make something shake, and you actively, I ran out of gas, I ran out of juice, there's nothing, I couldn't really find another avenue to do what I want to do, even in a win. What does that tell me? That tells me that something got stifled, and there was no workaround because of it. Something about this was more than just lackluster. Something about Shushu's game got stagnated by his opposition. And a part of the reason why, again, this is my opinion. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying this is what I saw. Part of the reason why this fight didn't go where he wanted to go, because he couldn't go and do something else like he wanted to do. And if that happened against Inoue, guess what? This buddy's going to die. He's going to go to sleep. He's going to get destroyed. It won't even be close. It will not be close. And again, looking at this against the other competition at 126, this doesn't help me out to say this buddy can go and clean out the division. Not just because the fight wasn't exciting, which again, not every fight's going to be knockdown, drag out brawls. But this also is not going to help me say that if it gets to a point where you got to find a workaround to make stuff shake against other opposition, you ain't going to be able to do it. You get in a fight with Figueroa, are you going to be able to adapt and change? We saw Mason do it. Why didn't we see you do it? And you were in more control. Why didn't we see you do it? If we see this up against Figueroa or Espinoza, shoot, Nick Ball, who just got knocked out by Brandon Figueroa. You show this against Nick Ball, guess what? You're losing your title. Sean Porter's right. You can only have, you can't have another one of these performances again. Why? Because the next fights that you're going to be getting into are going to be people that if you have this performance again, you're not going to be a champion anymore. I don't care if you're from Brownsville. I don't care about your background. I don't care about none of that because ain't none of that show up in this fight. None of that showed up. None of that showed up. There's no belief. And the title is Shushu versus Inoue strictly because the whole career for the past year about Shushu has been all leading to this fight at the bottom of your screen. That's been the whole MO of why we've been talking about Shushu for so long, because he has successfully thrust himself into the position to say at 126, since he does want to come over here eventually, I should be the dude to get him first. Or I'm going to be the guy to be able to get that fight. And everybody's been actually looking at that fight as, maybe that's the real thing. Maybe there can be some truth to that. And the fight in New York helped him out to even bolster that claim some more. But now, you got Timothy Bradley falling asleep, you had me falling asleep, and you had no workaround to change this fight into a dominant performance. And it was in your court to make something happen. That's where we have to say that's a problem. That's a struggle. That's an issue. That's not just an entertainment aspect. That's a fight issue. That now that you here, there's no more saving grace. This brother's young. This brother's going to go and conquer the world. Eventually, you're here now. You can't slip up here. Because once slip up here, if that was anybody else that you fought against that night, that's a problem. And you ain't Salvador Sanchez where you're good enough to where you can afford to have a bad or to afford to not do so much. As the saying goes with Salvador, if you went and fought him and you weren't that good, you're most likely seeing the end of the fight. But if you weren't that good and you fought against Salvador Sanchez, you were guaranteed to get knocked out, without a doubt. He elevated his game to who he was fighting against. He was that good. You are not that good. And you can't do that. And if you think you're going to fight anyway fighting like that, you lost your mind. Lost your mind. You won't even make it anyway. If we see this again, you won't make it to anyway. Because you won't be a champion. If this keeps up. I'm telling you, this is bad. This is really bad. This was really bad. This was a bad. I was shocked. I was shocked and appalled at this point. I'm telling you, it was something serious. Let me see. Tim Bradley was slumped watching the fight. Brother, yes, he was. Yes, he was. Yes, he was, man. It was ridiculous. Mason didn't look better. He was saved by the ref. Now, granted, the ref stoppage, you could argue was a bad stoppage. The only thing I can say is that he would have, now granted, if the ref didn't stop the fight there, I do believe it would have been a knockout because we would have seen Bell go down again. The only thing I can see that the reason why, again, I think Teddy Atlas also said that this was a bad stoppage on the ref's part for Abdullah Mason. Like I said, we're still on choo-choo. We're kind of jumping in and out for everything. But with Mason, the only thing I can say is maybe he saw Bell's eyes were glazed over. And so he was moving, conscious. He was there, but he might not have been there when the ref got up close to him. And that's why he waved it off. Maybe. If that's not the case, though, I strongly believe he would have gotten the knockout regardless. And even if he didn't, those two knockdowns would have been enough to win the fight unanimously. Going by the scorecards and going by my own scorecard. 2 knockdowns is what he needed to definitively win the fight for me, and he did it. 1 knockdown would have been enough to okay, I can be comfortable. 2, that was the cherry on top. And he got it. So I don't think he got saved by the ref. He did earn those 2 knockdowns. And even if the ref didn't stop it, it still would have been, that would have been enough to win if it went to decision. But I can agree the stoppage itself, I would have let him up. I would have let him up and seen if it can go again. If he got knocked down the 3rd time, though, in that quick of a fashion, okay, yeah, now it's time to stop it. Stoppage could have been very premature, but the performance itself, I think he would have gotten that regardless. Or if he didn't, still would have been a unanimous decision. And so let me see. Choo-Choo is going life or death with Leo Figueroa. Yes, he is. I'm telling you, he is. I'm telling you, he is. I'm telling you that this was concerning. This was concerning. Nothing but tough fights for Mason. Mason versus Jadir Herrera will be the test. If that fight might be next. Maybe. I am not sure. In fact, I think somebody said, no, I said it's going to be Mason Murataya after Robinson's Conceição and Murataya happens. That's why I said what happened next. But on the whole, Herrera eventually will be in that conversation. Though I doubt Herrera will be the next fight outright. Unless y'all have heard something about what's coming down the line. That again, like I said, I've been away. Like I said, we had to take a break. Had to handle some stuff. Also celebrating 4th of July while I was away. So, I had to, I might have missed some things. That's why I said that's why y'all are here to help me out in case I've missed something going wrong. Let me keep on reading. Bell doesn't gas out. Mason loses. That's fair to say. But also the body work of Mason helped to get the fatigue of Bell to take place. It's a twofold street. Yeah, you're talking right, Mason and Bell have been able to be more stamina driven. This fight could have looked another way, but Mason did continue to go downstairs to the body. Like Crawford said, when stuff didn't work in one aspect, he went to another one. And then built a new opening later in the fight because of that body work to now I can go guns blazing and now I can attack the head. Because now I hurt you. I've seen you wince. I've seen you start to be more flat-footed. I've seen your movement and reaction time start to wane. Because again, I flooded the basement. And now the foundation's starting to creak. Let me see. Also, huge fight in the heavyweight division. Tara Moana. Ooh, versus DeAndre Savage. Ooh, okay. I didn't know this fight got announced. That's good. That's a good fight. I've been very high on Tara Moana. TT. As I can go, we gotta find a nickname. I gotta find a nickname for Tara Moana. It's T squared. That's it. T squared. That's what I'm calling. I'm calling this brother T squared. I'm Tara Moana. I'm calling this brother T squared. Not just because his name repeats, but he got power in both hands. I'm calling this brother T squared. T squared versus DeAndre Savage. That's a logical step forward in the heavyweight division that I'm excited to see. Now, if he gets a knockout early in this fight, oh boy, this is gonna be a bright heavyweight that y'all better keep an eye out on. Cause he moving quick. Tara Moana's gonna hurt that dude so bad it's not funny. I don't blame him. I think he will. I think he'll get knocked out probably in 6. I think we'll knock him out in 6. And it might seem like it's a long time, but that's just going to be sustained damage that didn't go into one shot that ultimately will get the lights on. Let me see. Because Shakur is a master of distance magic, is not for, excuse me. Because Shakur is a master of distance magic, is no match for Shakur. Bell was killing Mason with range with the one. Wait, hold on. Because Shakur is a master of distance. Mason, okay, I think you meant to say Mason. Mason is no match for Shakur. Bell was killing Mason at range with the 1-2. He pushed him down on the first knockdown. The judges saw exactly what I saw. Would have been 8-4 or 7-5 for Mason in the fight if there were no knockdown. Like I said, I think that fight might have been a little bit closer, but the scorecards are fair. If we're going to compare Mason to Shakur, I don't think we can right now because it's clear we know who's better. We can't compare Mason versus Shakur at this point because, of course, yeah, if Shakur fought Abdullah Mason's losing that fight. Absolutely. Without question. Abdullah Mason versus Shakur, Abdullah's losing that fight 10 times out of 10. But it's also, we're dealing with a fighter who is still maturing. The whole thing with Abdullah Mason is maturity. Learning to get around distance. Mind you, in this fight with Bell, he's figuring out how to go through. And like Crawford said, find new ways to attack. If one thing don't work, do another way. He's still, again, even though he's good at it, even at this early age, he's still learning the finer aspects of boxing. His best attribute is fighting more than boxing. His best attribute isn't necessarily using the jab or going, but it's being able to counter his opposition and being aggressive with his power and digging downstairs to the body while physically imposing on his opposition. That's his best weapon, not necessarily his boxing skills, even though his boxing skills are getting very much rapidly better. But this is not where we can see them be or where I think his potential can be. Comparing Mason to Shakur right now, that's just unfair. We know this brother will not be able to beat him. Now, at 135, if Shakur came down to this division and he said, I'm fighting Mason for the title, at this point, I don't think Mason has a chance right now to beat him. There's still levels to this. And I love Mason, but it's nowhere close to that level. What I do know is we are wanting to see Mason elevate his boxing skills more. Elevate in the sweet science regard, where boxers that are good at distance, good at range, and good at 1-2s, very good at the fundamentals, they don't give him as much trouble. Because Bell was making it work from range. Bell was able to use lateral movement. Unlike what we saw with Zayas, to actually go and cause Mason to have some trouble trying to find him. Scoring and moving. Pot shotting. He didn't necessarily hurt Mason, but he definitely was doing more work than many people thought would happen because of the soundness of his game from a basic standpoint. Now, I don't say basic in a bad way, but the stuff you are supposed to do, he did very good. Mason is a great fighter. Yes, he's better than Bell, but he's still learning how to apply all of those latent skills into efficient, effective, and timely work. Efficient, where every time he does something, it does work. Effective, how dominantly the thing that he does works outright. And then timely, picking and choosing when to do the right thing when. What time to go and implement this type of game. When to go to certain other elements. He's still adapting and learning that. Shakur, he's mastered the jab. He almost doesn't need any other elements, but if he does, he can fire on the inside phenomenally. He can counter you incredibly. He can keep you at bay. He can work off the ropes. He can go to the body. He can go to the head. He can make his own openings. He can land on wherever you're vulnerable. He's all of those things. It's not even a fair fight to even compare them right now at this stage. Potentially ever, depending on how good we see Abdullah Mason get. He may not even get to the level of being able to be as good as a Shakur, which is not bad because we just know how good Shakur is. But I wouldn't use any comparisons in any regard to what we would see with Shakur would definitely be able to beat Mason, because that's just, we know that. At this stage, we know that. It's on Mason to find the avenue to make that type of gap closed. Because he's got the physical makeup to be able to do something that if he does reach his potential, Shakur may actually have a threat on his hands at 135 or at 140. He is able to get to that level with what, not just the power, but the just straight physical quickness and ability and durability that he has. He could give Shakur some real trouble if he got to that fully realized potential. But it's on him to get there. Right now, he is not there. He is not there at all. I can guarantee you that. He ain't there. If he was though, buddy, that'd be great. Abdullah win at most 3 of those fights. No, he wouldn't. He would not be able to beat. He would not be able to beat Shakur. He would not be able to beat Shakur. He would. There's a. I mean, if we want to be completely honest, the person in the division right now that would be a barometer for whether Mason could go and reach the levels of Shakur or not would be Gervonta Tank Davis. It would. Don't think I'm wrong. That's the if he can go toe to toe with Tank right now, it's fair to say, okay, yeah, he could beat Shakur. If he can't go toe to toe with Tank, as much as I've said everything I've said about Tank, I do know he still is a phenomenal fighter. And still, from a talent perspective, he still is arguably the best at this division outright. I think that's true. And so because of that, if Mason is not at that level yet, and this is Tank now, a couple years out in the ring, I'm not going to say he's better than he can get Shakur at any time soon. It's probably going to be, what is he, 21 right now? Probably once you reach, with the way he's been able to mature, it's probably going to be Zayed's age that we can start having better conversations, 23, 24 years old, potentially even 25. Okay, now he's young, but he's developed, and now he's there, or he's close to being there. And directly in the physical aspects of his prime, it's time to see what he can do. Okay, now we can have fair conversations. Mason versus Shakur. Could this actually be a thing that Shakur may be in trouble? I think that'll be when the timeline branches into that conversation. Right now, it ain't there yet. It ain't there yet. Let me see. Matt Borg, hold on, we got paid today. Wait a second. How you doing? Matt Borgeson, thank you for tuning into the show. We're so happy that you're here. Like I said, we had a hiatus. We were gone. We had to go celebrating the 4th of July as well as doing some other things. We had to travel, and now we're back set up. We're here. We're live, and we got everything now is fully working. So we ready to hear what you all got to say. We're returning to our regularly scheduled program. But let me see what you had to say on our show today. Do you think Shoo Shoo has too much hype around him? And no, it wouldn't. It would be defeating O'Shaquie Foster for Mason. More realistic scope. Okay, that's a two-part question. Again, we thank you for the $5 super chat. Once again, supporting arms to the empire. Thank you so much. It means the world. It means the world. It means the world to us. But let me see. Shoo Shoo. Now that's actually that first question. That's good. The second one, beating O'Shaquie Foster for Mason would be a more realistic scope. That's fair, especially with the positioning of O'Shaquie Foster fighting or being in tandem of people may want to see him versus, Shakur at 140, like O'Shaquie said he would be willing to do. Okay, Shock going from 130 to 135, fighting Mason. You know what? I can see that. That's a little bit more realistic for the immediate point in time. And if he can beat him, okay, though it ain't Tank or it ain't Shakur outright, that is a very big jump to elevate the validity, even with him moving up in weight, to say Mason got something going. I agree with you there. But for the first part of that question, do you think Shoo Shoo has too much hype around him? Yes. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I believe Shoo Shoo Carrington has too much hype around his name. I do. And it sounds mean. It sounds like I'm being unfair to some people, but I'm not. Shoo Shoo Carrington has too much hype for what his ability has been thus far. And the hype has strictly become, in part, a reality for a lot of people due to Inoue. By proxy of recognition of the best fighter in the world, Shoo Shoo's brand has been able to grow. He has performed. He has produced. He has shown up and shown out in ways that at points in times, okay, this brother really is can be a great dude. But on the whole, most of his hype has been because of not he can beat the people in his division. Because he's been calling out Inoue every which way till Sunday. Consistently. And the people that market him are also saying, yeah, this brother can go and beat him. But if you watch him fight, he's a good fighter. He's a great fighter even. We said he could be a champion, he became a champion. He did it in a dominant fashion. Now we were very excited. But he is not at that position to where he should be seen as so far and away separate from the rest of the globe. He's not better than Espinoza. He ain't. But the way Brandon Figueroa is looking like right now, if you want to say they're comparable, sure. Would I favor him against Figueroa right now? It would be hard pressed for me to say. I don't think so. Angelo Leo, but we've been talking. Shoot. That may be the fairest comparison of champion versus champion. And even then it may be a stretch because he could be better than him. Yes, it's all unknown because they haven't fought. I understand. But I didn't understand why this was a question. Not Nick Ball. Bruce Carrington was consistently touted as being above this division. That's really what it boiled down to. The overhype came from every time we talked about Carrington, it was never about him beating this division. It was looking literally past this division and saying, I'm so good, I can beat Inoue. And I'm going to do work up here to show y'all I can beat Inoue. Forget anybody else in this division. I'm already better than them. I am going to beat Inoue to show you all exactly what I am. And people bought it. Lapped it up like sugar. Everybody started believing even he could be a threat. And I never thought it would be a thing. Never thought it'd be a thing. But people kept saying it was going to happen. There's been so much stuff involved with Shushu Carrington's position in boxing. Yes, his talent is worth it in terms of the respect. Absolutely. But the believability that he's already at that level is simply because he kept saying Inoue's name over and over and over again. Sure, I want everybody is what he says. He never, I don't remember him calling out Espinosa by name directly. I don't remember him calling out Nick Ball by name directly to my knowledge. And if he did, once he got the title, Shona didn't make moves like it. And still it was Inoue. If Inoue did not exist within the vicinity of 126, Shushu Carrington most likely would not be viewed as the threat to a division as he is right now. Not because of his ability, but because of his attachment to already established greatness. That's the problem. That's the problem. And look, Matt, again, thank you for the $2 super chat. We appreciate the Alton Empire, and we love the support. Absolutely. We appreciate you and your contributions to growing this establishment bigger, stronger, and greater than ever before. But you're right. Inoue would tax him. Inoue would beat him up. Inoue would beat him so bad, most likely. Even at 126, it would stop whatever momentum Shushu had. And that's why it is such a concern that I'm having with Shushu Carrington. That's why it's such a concern. Because most of his brand is not built on him. Most of his brand isn't even built on Brownsville. And we love that he's from Brownsville. It's not even built on that solely. It's built on straight up Inoue. Perfect example. I'm going to show you what they said about him on Inside the Ring. I'm about to pull up that clip. This is exactly why I had that clip saved. I'm going to show you exactly what they're talking about with him in respect to his skills. And it's nothing about the way it's just Inoue that is the reason why he's getting harped on so much. He successfully invested himself or inserted himself into that domain. It's like what Boo Boo Andre did when he's trying to get with Canelo, trying to fight Canelo all the time. But this time it actually worked. But he's not at that level. But people keep saying he is at that level by disrespecting who Inoue actually fought. And he is nowhere close to them. I'm going to play the clip and I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. Let me see. Matt Borkison, thank you again for another $2 super chat on the show. More alms to the Empire. We thank you so much. Espinosa would change his life too, in my opinion. Yes. Espinosa would give him some, especially after this fight, Espinosa would give him some crazy work. In my opinion, and we said clearly, Espinosa has some holes in his game. Even at 5'11", 6 feet something, that could be some problematic things as he continues. But doggone right, if Shushu fought him, especially after this, especially if he can't find another way to dominate like he was unable to do in this boring snooze fest of a fight, it's a problem. It's a big problem. Let me see. Anyway, he's getting older, and he's clearly not in his prime anymore. I wouldn't say clearly. He's still in this. He's 32. He still is in his prime. It is winding down, but he is still in his prime. I can say that concretely when it comes to Inouye, because though Inouye may be old or older, he is still operating at a level that he still is dominant. And again, he changed his maturity. Excuse me, not 32, 34. Thank you, man. Thank you, man. Not 32, 34 years old. I apologize. Not 32, he's 34. Thank you for the correction. But same thing. He adapted his style, as we've seen, to be a more quintessential boxer rather than just the going in, going out, bop, bop, bop. I'm taking you out. He's still going to knock you out. Yeah. But you've seen him over the past 3 fights. He is a lot more, what's the word? He's fighting a lot more judicial than he did before now. Specifically, when everybody saying he was getting caught by Luis Nery, got caught by Cardenas, all of a sudden now you see the fight with Picasso, you see the fight with Nakatani. It's a whole different game. He's fighting more like he did against Stephen Fulton before the KO than ever before, in a good way. And we always said he could box. Now he's just boxing as the dominant portion of his game. I don't think he's necessarily out of his prime, but he's changed to adapt to be a smarter fighter, which is insane to say because he's fighting in a more responsible manner. And we've seen him, he's still washing people while just being more fundamental. Like I said, I compared him to Roy Jones Jr. years ago. Not even years ago, roughly a year or two ago on a short sting, on a clip. We said it in a way, and Roy Jones are two sides of the same coin, just flipped. Roy was athleticism first, but it was backed by fundamental understanding and mastery, which is why he could break all the rules. In a way, it's fundamentals first, then backed by athleticism. And that's why he's able to look like the closest thing we can get to the perfect quintessential boxer and still be so destructive. And then after that, take chances that nobody else can do. Why? Because I'm smart enough to see it, but I'm also athletic enough to make it happen. But I'm leading with the mind before the body, rather than the body before the mind. Two sides of the same coin, but both of them were masters of their craft. That's what made him so incredible. But let me see. I'm still trying to make sure I catch everybody that I can. Let me see. Matt Borgeson with another $2 super chat on the day. Thank you for the homes to the Empire. Honestly, Shushu is better than Leo for sure. And Leo is trash. That's fair. So we got one of the three. One of the 3 champions he could beat. That's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine, especially with the youth on Shushu's side. I'm fine with that. It's just the fact that he hasn't gone after him. That's my frustration. That's my only thing. Yes, I know, yeah, he just got the title. I understand. But he could. If I'm seeing Zayas go back to back taking belts of different things, I'm thinking Shushu, with all his belts, going to follow the same footsteps. Or could do it. I just want to see him do that. And right now, after this, I'm just like, even if I do believe that Shushu is better than Leo, after this performance, I got some doubt that sentiment may be right without reproach. And I need to see some proof now. After this. I gotta see something. But before I continue, let me go and play this clip I wanted to play of regarding Shushu Carrington and his position fighting and boxing right now. Here it is. And this will be the last thing before you can go into the other aspects of the rest of the show. I talked about Shushu, why he's great, or rather why he is being attached to greatness, and his position in boxing is, yes, in part because of his skills, but even more so because of who he is attached to with Inoue. And I think this clip shows, to some respect, exactly what I'm saying as he talked about the same situation with on Inside the Ring with Max Kellerman and all of them, comparing Shushu, if he fought Inoue, is he better than some of the other opponents that Inoue has faced, specifically Nakatani. But I'll let this clip show you what I mean, as we'll summarize his last point in this segment of the show. Just trying to make sure y'all can see it before I play it, because I do not want, okay, good, y'all can see it, everything's good, sounds great, let's let it play.
In the 12th round, the boy that you talked about didn't show up.
How would Shushu do against the monster, Shady?
When he fought Nakatani, you guys saw how great he was, and I think Shushu's a little bit better than him.
Oh, Shushu's better than
That's in
Nakatani?
my opinion, yes, Mike.
Based on what, though? What is the opinion based on?
I think he's better. I think he's better.
You have seen Shushu in against a certain level of opposition. And against that opposition, I could see where a reasonable person would say, oh, Shushu is this much better than his opponents.
Yeah.
You've only seen Nakatani fight, I'm going to guess, twice. Compared to his opponents, in your experience, Nakatani is like this, whereas Shushu is like this. But Nakatani's opponents are way better.
That's true, right? Because competition can be a factor, right? But what about having some freaking letting them hang when you need to? In the 12th round, the boy that you talked about didn't show up.
He almost won the fight. He lost the fight
In
in
the
a round.
when the 12th round, we needed
And
most.
he had a broken orbital.
Hold up. Now you make excuses. In the 12th round, when you gotta have it most, when you do all this training, you run all these miles, all these weeks of training, because yeah, you've been there, I ain't been there, but you've been there. And you got one more round to do it against the greatest fighter in the world. And what did you do? You laid that down.
No, he did not lay down. He got
What did he do?
a
Family show.
This, and this is not a slight to fans, be clear. This I see so I see, hey, look, hey, I see hey, look, I see some of y'all in chat. Some of y'all in the chat are just ridiculous. I said, right, shoot you against stop. Some of y'all are very angry at this clip. I understand. See, look, it's not about Shady. Understand? It's not about Shady. What Shady said was wild. What Shady said was reckless. I completely agree. Y'all are right. This was a garbage take. This was a garbage sentiment. What Shady said was stupid in every regard. Absolutely. But the point I used that clip to make, or the point I'm trying to use, Jimmy, the point I'm trying to say with this clip is to show you, do you see what Shushu is getting elevated against when it comes to Inoue? This is why the stock has been able to rise more than anything. Everybody who hasn't seen Inoue's career in full or doesn't know the people that Inoue fought, though they are elite, have the, and I don't say this in a negative context, but has the ignorance to be able to say, I've seen this cat, and the last time I saw Nakatani or anybody else, they lost. There's no way that they're better than Shushu, especially as a bigger person. Inoue ain't all that, and I guarantee you, Shushu could give a bigger fight, because I've seen him do work. And the only time I saw these other guys that you talk about do work, they lost to this man, and my guy is better than them. Even though that's a flawed logic. But that logic allows for you to go and let your hype grow. Because who's going to go and try to justify it by looking through film? Who's going to go and try to actually figure out, yo, let me watch these people and see who's better than who? And this is not a slight at anybody who supports Shushu. This is a product of the boxing fandom as a whole. The sport as a whole. Most people understand who they see, they're great. Who they don't see, they don't know. Most things happen by hearsay in the boxing world. A lot of things happen word of mouth. If we don't see you in action, That's why we talked about how boxing is a dominant sport for the biggest of names. But it's not as easy just to make a name, because if you're not already known, people don't necessarily care about you up until you do something that makes them want to care about you. Floyd and Tank. Tank was attached to Floyd. Shakur was attached to Floyd in some regards. We've seen this consistently. Carmel Moulton has at least in America, has a bigger notarized following than the likes of Nakatani. All because he was attached to Floyd Mayweather for the first 8-9 fights of his career. Oh, Floyd's training him. Everything else can be good. Attaching themselves to greatness. Shushu did that with his career, attaching himself to Inoue. People just saw Inoue fought, or they just seen Inoue fight. The only people that they've seen Inoue fight are the people that are in the ring with Inoue, not beforehand. So, they don't know anything except for, you got knocked out by Inoue. You got made to look like a fool against his brother. You didn't let your stuff hang. You laid down and died, like Shady said, to paraphrase, like Shady said inside the ring. You didn't try. Shushu's way better than him. And that's just not the case. And if anything, brother, you didn't even try in this latest fight. You won, but you showed up, didn't do everything that you could have done. And there was a lot left on the table. I'm not stating about Nakatani for the majority of his entire career. But again, they don't know. They don't care. They can say whatever they want to say. They're setting Shushu up unknowingly to get put into a dire situation. Because if all this hype keeps following Shushu, and it's all been built up not by his own resume, but by the career of potential fights with Inoue, it's going to be, if he does indeed ever get that fight, and he loses that fight, notoriety's done. Because what other substance is there outside of Inoue for Shushu's career? Yes, there is substance, don't get me wrong. But what is the staying power that people have held for Shushu? Has it been the knockouts? Has it been the outright skill? Has it been entertainment? Or has it been, this guy can be Inoue? Not looking at the rest of the division, this guy can be Inoue. If he fails at that, what else is there for you to buy into for Shushu? In many people's eyes. Because now that's all your career has been built on. That's it. That's it. Literally, that's it. And we've been telling you, you haven't gone after titles like you're supposed to. You finally got one. And now we want to see you go and amp up even more. And they're still not talking about you in the vein of fighting these other guys. The most dominant thing is still, he won a title. He looked lackluster. Can you be Inoue? Nothing about his own career for the majority. That's a problem. That's a setup for failure. Because that's your only leg to stand on for why you are being looked at in such intensity for the public eye. Because this is still 126. I love the smaller divisions. Most of the rest of the globe do not. Inoue has brought light to a lot of smaller fighters, which is great. At 115, 118, 122, 126, all that stuff. There's a spotlight there. Absolutely. He helped to bolster the significance of the talent down here, which has been great. At the same breath, especially for Shushu, if it fails with what you have yet to do in your career, just like that, all this noise, you can go silent. You can go silent. Because there's nothing that your career has been built on just by yourself. Even with your own accomplishments, you made it about Inoue. You. Go look at his past interviews. Go look at his past talks. Go look at his past press conferences. The biggest thing that's been a theme has not been the titles, has not been cleaning out divisions, has not been about his own skill sets. It's been about Inoue. And when you build yourself up like that in that regard, where your notoriety is based on the others or another person, sure, I want the big fight. I'm the biggest guy to beat this dude. But then without being able just to stand on your own 2 feet and needing him at every single point in conversation. That's a rickety bridge to think they can stand forever. If that bridge falls, but there's no net to catch you. You can still be successful, sure. But like we're seeing with others, oh well. Who's the next guy? Because apparently you weren't it. It can be problematic. I just don't want him to focus and harp on that so much, because now that's what everybody else is doing to him. And if that's his only saving grace that most people have as a fixture for Shushu to be notarized as, that can be bad. That can be bad. Let me see. I think Shushu should move to 130. Things are way more attainable at 130. I don't think Shushu should move up to 130. I don't think he should move up to 130. I don't want, because again, if he does move up to 130, he would be one of the most notarized names. And just like with Boots, or similar to Boots, would be one of the more looked at fighters that others would want to fight against. Top dogs, top monsters, real people like Foster, Oshaki Foster, or like a Mangry Neverete. And if he gets thrust into that division, he could get thrust into the deep end real quick, because currently that's where his position is. He's a champion at a lighter division. Going up in weight, he'll have the opportunity to fight for another belt very soon in 1 or 2 fights because of his already established position as a champion. And people are going to be gunning for him because they can make a lot of money fighting Shushu. But right now, the biggest killers up there are Neverete, and Shushu does not want to fight Neverete. Oshaki Foster, how Oshaki's been looking recently, I don't think Shushu, especially after this last performance, wants to fight Shock at 130. Stephen Fulton already tried, and look at what happened to him. I'm not saying Shushu is the level of Stephen Fulton. He's better than Stephen Fulton, but at this point in time, there's some real concern that same opposition that we saw Shock be for Fulton, that can show up against you. If this type of Shushu shows up in that fight, it can be a problem. It can be a real issue. There's a lot of concern. I don't think moving up to 130, I'm not as pressed for Shushu, because I don't think he can win like that at 130. I don't, at least not right now. Not right now. It's sad that Inoue would still probably get more money fighting Shushu than Espinoza. In the American market, yes, he would. Or at least comparable to what he would make in Japan. Any of these fights, most likely Shushu's going to be fighting wherever Inoue wants to fight. If it's comparable with if he does fight in the States, Inoue will make the most monetary money fighting Shushu in America. That would be the most other lucrative spot outside of straight up Japan. But most likely he'd be fighting him in Japan. Most likely. Because Shushu ain't that big of a name. He's huge, but he ain't that big. He's like everybody else, gonna have to dictate to where Inoue wants to go. Because if Shushu wants the money, that's where the money can reside. Honestly, it'd be smart for Shushu to go over there in Japan if he wants to make the biggest buck for himself. But again, he would lose and get knocked out, so he shouldn't take that fight. Because it would be bad. It would be really bad. It would be really, really bad. But let me keep on reading you all's chats, because we want to make sure that we don't lose out on people talking. I'm trying to make sure I catch everybody that I can. Teddy Berkshire, how you doing? Good to see you. We appreciate you on the show. It would be like Tiger Johnson versus, thank you. Exactly. It would be like Tiger Johnson versus the young Pac-Man. You don't let that happen. Don't let that happen. Good guys. Don't let that happen. Let me see. Scooter Davis looked horrific too. He talked all that mess and then basically lost. I hate fighters that talk smack and can't back it up. Unproven fighters need to keep their mouths shut until they prove something. So, I mean, you need to talk. Like I said, I think we covered this before. You need to be able to talk. You got to sell yourself. Understandable. Almost all of these people that were on this card over the weekend said it was going to be a knockout, dramatic win, insane that everybody would remember. Ended up having some struggles, if not straight up, maybe should have lost some fights. Most of the people that have fought over this past weekend, that's what came through. Not all, but more than I would have liked. But you need to have, expect something dominant to happen to set the table. Now, it's on you to produce. But, if you don't do that, people are going to say, who is this guy? So I get it. Again, you need a mouthpiece or to be your own mouthpiece to cause some investment. That's why people, they ain't unproven, but they talk and they call their shot. Right? I mean, Ali did it when he was coming in without being proven it at all. I'm not comparing these people to Ali, be clear. Just a prime example of what can happen when you do that and back it up. But I'm not mad at people talking, but if you get exposed, that's on you at that point. That's on you. Hitchens has a fight scheduled. Yeah, he did. He does. It's Richardson Hitchens. That means Richardson Hitchens, he had a fight with, dang it, who's the dude? Who's the brother? I had it up here. I need to find it. I need to find it. Because I think, was it him and Edgar Berlanga that have a fight that's scheduled to happen? Where is it at? Where is that? Ricardo Salas, that's who it is. Ricardo Salas, that's who he's fighting. Richard Hitchens going to be fighting Ricardo Salas, or maybe it's Sales. I'm going to say Salas for the time being. If I'm wrong, please excuse me. That's the next fight that he's got going on. In fact, actually, we got a lot of fights coming up over the course of this month. Or in these coming months, because it's in this list right here. Mason versus Bell Carrington just happened. Jacob Pacheco getting ready to fight Aleem. We've been pretty high on Diego Higa coming back into the ring. Tyson Fury versus Merzira Watch, which this fight right here, for those of you that don't know, this is a stay busy fight up until the Tyson Fury Anthony Joshua fight that's supposed to happen late in, I think late in November or December. If we're going to go by fourth quarter situation, then followed by, or I think that's happening after Joshua versus Poringa. And then both of them got that fight in. Fury would have had 2. Joshua has 1. Then they're going to go and go scrap with each other. Berlanga fighting Stephen Butler. Lamont Roach versus William Zepeda. That's one that probably in the coming weeks as this gets closer, we're going to be talking about. Clarissa Shields fighting Keith Scott. I think this is just in July. This isn't the whole boxing schedule, but I think this is just for the month of July, particularly early August. We still got some more fights coming down the line, but we got a lot of stuff going on. We got a lot of stuff getting ready to transpire. Lamont Roach is going to have his hands full against Zepeda. That's going to be a fight that, in all honesty, that's going to be a very interesting test. If he can go, if it's going to be, I think Lamont Roach is going to be able to win. And if he beats Zepeda, Isaac Cruz, and with the resume of should have gotten a win against Tank Davis, but got a draw, there might be some real concern that we got to start having for Lamont Roach being able to maybe make some real noise. That would be an insane 3-fight resume. From when we said that Lamont Roach was going to be a drastic underdog against the likes of Tank. And honestly, we thought it was going to be knockout and get knocked out and it'd be easy. To then go and turn that into it's Tank, Cruz, and Zepeda, all of whom he won or at worst got a draw against. That will flip the entire makeup of what we would see with Lamont Roach. The entire makeup of the perception, which has already been flipped. But now, that's... Actually, no. Did he draw? He didn't beat Isaac Cruz. He drew with Isaac Cruz, didn't he? Did he draw with Isaac Cruz? I'm looking at the result right now. Yeah. So wait, that would be, so if he did draw against if he wait a minute, hold on. If he drew against Williams Zepeda, that would be 3 straight draws in a row against Tank, Isaac Cruz, and then Zepeda. Would that be impressive or would that be concerning? Good gosh, I never even thought. That would be insane. You are as good as Isaac Cruz, Tank, and potentially if he draws a Williams Zepeda. Two of those fights, there's an argument you should have won. Would he move up or down in people's eyes if he drew against Zepeda? In all honesty, I think he might move down. He might move down in people's eyes if he draws against Zepeda. Reason why is because of those other 2 established wins subsequently made Lamont Roach in people's eyes look really good. And they are really good performances. I don't think people hold Williams Zepeda in that same regard as Isaac Cruz or Tank Davis. So I think if this is the fight that he has, this is the fight that he has next. But I think this is the fight that most people are saying he should be able to outright win this. He should. He should. Because they view Isaac and Tank better than Williams Zepeda. But if he draws against Williams Zepeda, I don't know if that necessarily helps his stock as much as it would potentially be. I think I'm not going to say it's a must win, but it's in his best interest to win this fight if he can. And try not to go with the draw back to back to back. But let me see. Literally anything can happen with these C-level guys, man. Since the knockdown wasn't called, I think Tank probably would squeeze the win out, honestly. If you're talking about if you're talking about a rematch between the two and the knockdown's not called, could he just win outright? Maybe not. Based on what we talked about with Tank and the invincibility now falling away, that also sways in the scales of how the judges view a fight may go on, because potentially favoritism for one fighter or another, because how great they are, may not be in the same capacity because, oh my, you're not what we thought we were initially. If you're talking about the fight beforehand, the knockdown wasn't called, he probably squeezes it out. I mean, maybe. Let me see. Personally, I didn't see Welch win 6 rounds to get a draw. I mean, I did. Again, that's why this fight with Roach has been such a hotly contested debate. Because people have been consistently saying, Tank won. No, Tank lost. No, that was a draw. Lamont Roach did win 6 rounds. No, he only won 5. With that knockdown, it would have been more than enough to win. This is why we want that rematch. But, perfect segue, we ain't going to get that rematch no time soon. In fact, we ain't going to get no rematch with anybody with Tank. Because this brother ain't fighting until 2027, if you did not know.
Hey, look at that!
Yeah.
We got some problems here!
We can talk about this stuff till the cows come home. We just got word for the words of Mike Coppinger. Tank is for, we're not making this a Tank show, but it's just a perfect segue into this topic of discussion. We can say which win will be better for Lamont Roach in light of the Tank performance. We can say that the fight was and wasn't enough for him to be able to go and win outright. All we can say is right now, whatever get back we may want from Tank to see and answer these questions, we ain't going to get from nobody. Not Suarez, not Schofield, not Roach, not Shakur, nobody. Not Isaac Cruz, nobody. Because this brother's not fighting again up until 2027. As per the words of Mike Coventry himself, and I will let him break the news to you all so you can see exactly what's going on as we transition over into picture and picture. Wait, hold on. There we go. Okay.
Basically, what Bill said is he spoke to Al Heyman, and in their discussions, Al said, look, Gervonta Davis is not going to be ready until Q1 of 2027 for any fight. So Gervonta Davis is not going to fight in 2026. It sounds like Bill's still very highly interested in that fight for next year. In the meantime, he said Devin has to fight, obviously. Hasn't had a fight yet in 2026. Basically,
So,
what Bill...
again, this is in reference to Bill Haney having an interview talking about how he had a conversation with Al Heyman, and Al Heyman again confirming they're not going to be able to fight up until 2027 in terms of Tank. There was some rumors and conversations. Devin Haney versus Tank were going to happen. Tank even called out Devin Haney, I think. I want big nose, per se. Everybody got excited. Started with that helped to bolster the furthering of the rumor mill when it came to Devin Haney, Keyshawn Davis, Shakur Stevenson, Tank. Who's going to fight who? What fight could we see happen? Was that the fight that will be worth the $100 million deal that we almost surely now see with Zuffa have with Devin Haney signing? That will be the fight to fit that type of contract. Oh my gosh, we're excited. Now we know that's not happening. Because now we got confirmed per Al Heyman, through Bill Haney, Tank ain't fighting until next year. It might be even longer. Depending on what we've seen from Tank in the past, or based on what we've seen from Tank in the past, it could be even longer. And again, when I turn this into a Tank show, this is just some significant news based on what we had covered earlier with Tank and that whole drama of everybody potentially about to fight everybody and a big old crescendo of clashes with fights that we all have been saying we wanted to see for the past 5 years. I stand by my statement about Tank's legacy. I stand by my statement about Tank's willingness to fight competition. And I stand by my take that I said about Tank months ago. This brother is not going to be around for a long time. And this hiatus, don't be surprised if it does indeed stick. Don't be surprised if at this point in time, whether it's because of legal issues, whether it's because of all the other drama outside of boxing, whether it's because even with them trading with Benavidez Sr., maybe the whole left by Calvin Ford and all that stuff is not up to the holistic standard, or rather, it's still waning, and it's like, you know what, I can't do this anymore. Even with him training with Benavidez Sr., do not be surprised if all this stuff is moving through, and by the time 2027 comes, we don't get any fight. Don't be surprised if we get an early retirement. Yet again, do not be surprised in the slightest, because this is Tank that we're talking about. No matter what we may say comes his way, and no matter what we may say is on the table for him to succeed, most likely nothing's going to happen. Because even after all the legal things come about, this is Tank. This is nothing new. If everything got wiped away, this would still be Tank. Most likely, we should not expect anything up until something substantial actually takes place. Because knowing this could be longer than just 2027. It could be straight up permanent. The Tank ain't out till 2030, 2040. Shoot. The only time we see him is for some charity fights, like we saw with Floyd Mayweather, where he's fighting over in Thailand, over in Japan, fighting a kickboxer, doing celebrity matchups against people like Drewski. Pop Smoke. Pop Smoke dead. Is Pop Smoke dead? I think Pop Smoke died. Not Pop Smoke. Uzi. The Island Boys. Who knows? Who it may be. But anybody for that matter. And we could see him not in the actual professional setting for a long time. Just be aware that's what we could see take place. Let me see. I think we're getting Diego Pacheco versus Olays Glacius. Now, I didn't want to say anything because I wasn't sure I could confirm that stuff is going down. But I can say, based on some reports, it seems like not personal sources, but other people that have sources that are going out and saying stuff may be shaking. That fight may be on the table. That's picking up some steam. It really is. That fight's picking up some steam. Pacheco versus Iglesias. That's picking up some real steam. And if we could get that fight announced, and we could get that fight to happen, and if we do get that fight to happen, that's going to make or break my opinions on Iglesias. I'll be completely honest. Iglesias is a killer. Iglesias is a monster. Iglesias is somebody that has been a settled in threat for the whole of this division. At the same breath, even as champion, the biggest scrutiny has been his resume and his talent as a fighter. We have not seen him against somebody that has the widely acclaimed respect. Not because we don't know the names that he fought, but the names that he fought have not been up to the caliber of what we're getting ready to see him walk into now. I'm not saying that's good or bad. I'm just saying that's the facts. And I'm saying right now, we've been putting Iglesias with Canelo, with Shiraz, with Adames, with, I don't even want to say Berlanga, but Berlanga still is in a conversation for contending status of champions. He's been in all of those sect of names. Sure, deservedly so, because he's a puncher. He's a monstrous, destructive force. But yet to prove it on that scale. But if he beats Pacheco with what we've said on this show about Diego Pacheco, I have nothing else to say after that. I have nothing to say after that. There might be better people than Pacheco in this division. Cool. But you beat a Pacheco level opponent that in this division is either great and or considered elite or right on that borderline, depending on your views and perception of him as a fighter. And so because of that, I ain't got nothing to say. If he beats Pacheco, that's great. That's beautiful. That's what we want to see. That is a championship level contender that would validate all the stuff we've been, so to some degree, validate your ability to be favored in this division as a dominant threat at middleweight. I think that's fair. But if you don't, but hey, with all this talk we've been saying, if he loses, it can be a problem. It can be a problem. I'm telling you. And Ryan, I'm aiming directly at you. You've been hyping up Iglesias for a long time. A long time. And I've even said I agree. There's some stuff about him that can be really destructive. And I mean, can be a great asset to this division. But if he loses to Pacheco, if he does lose to Pacheco, you might have to eat some crow. I'm not gonna lie. You might have to eat some crow. You might have to come through. You might have to come through and face the music, brother. I'm just saying. We might have to have a conversation about how you've been going through and say this brother's everything we wanted. And if he loses to Pacheco, we're not going to be mean, but we're going to have a conversation. I'm not going to lie. We're going to have a conversation. Hey, I put my name, Welch, I put my name on it. He's the best fighter in the world right now. See? Look, man. Hey, brother. I respect the mountain that you're willing to stand on. I respect this is the hill that you're going to stay on. Stay on it. Be clear. I've done it too. But just know, we may have to have a conversation. And I might not be the worst person. The chat may just come back at you. I'm telling you said he's better than Boots. You said he's the best in the world. You said his brother's better than Shakur. Everybody. There is nobody you would take over Iglesias. You've said that publicly. I said fine. I love it. Everybody else though? Pack of hounds. I mean, just a pack of rabid dogs just coming and trying to go through and tear you limb from limb. I'm going to try to save you if it happens. But just know, get your defense ready. If you win, bragging rights, you get it all. It ain't Canelo, but you get it all. Understandable. But just know, be ready. Be ready. That's a big hill that you trying to stand on, brother. That's a big hill you trying to stand on. I'm not going to lie. Let me see. Aleem is terrible. Wow, really? I thought Aleem was pretty good. I think Aleem, I thought Aleem was pretty all right. I thought it was pretty decent. I think this brother, him going up against, where is it? Yeah, Jacob Pacheco versus Aleem. I don't think Aleem is bad. I don't think Aleem is bad at all. Honestly. Now, if he is, in fact, that bad, when crossing the threshold of this standard of competition, that is Diego Pacheco. Because, again, same thing. Most of these fights that we've been talking about, they're big because they're the most significant fight, not just because of a title, but because if you look at the rest of their resume, and then you look at who their next opponent is now, whether it's with Aleem and Pacheco or Iglesias versus Pacheco, if that fight does happen, all this conversation is, buddy, this is your proving ground, as in more than anything. Everything else we're leading into, can you stay up here at this division with the Pachecos and others of the world? If you can't, so be it. But hey, we've been talking about you as one of the better outlooking contenders in this division as a whole. For a lot of this stuff, it's been straight up, who are you when you get to this barrier? And can you pass through and belong, or are you going to get shot down? And same thing with Aleem. Well, though I think Aleem, again, is good. And don't get to it. We talked about Aleem before. He is good. But if he is good enough, he'll put on a good performance against Pacheco. But if he ain't what we thought he was, yeah, he's going to get whitewashed. He's going to get cleaned up. He's going to get pushed over, without a doubt. If he ain't that good, if he is not that good, he'll get handled with ease. He will get handled with ease against Pacheco, without question. And all the stuff we said about it, it'll be dead. It'll be dead in the water, and understandably so. Let me see. He stopped Canelo even work. See. I'm telling you. You know what? Look, we've had to sign up for a minute. We're gonna go to the championship rounds because right now y'all getting takes off belligerently, and we gotta be sure that we still cover the rest of the boxing world. And so we're going to go and jump in. And in fact, we're at the past 2-hour mark. And we got to make sure we still cover everything else. Like with Boots Ennis, who we yet have been able to talk about. So let's go and jump into it right now. As we're jumping to the world of the championship rounds. That's right, 30 minutes. No, since we're coming back, we'll cover it for an hour. We'll go straight for an hour and or longer to see what you all have to say in all regards to the boxing world and beyond as we're here in the championship rounds. And specifically while we're here, something we didn't get to cover was with Jerron Boots Ennis, as you can see in the thumbnail, and talks between Ennis and Ortiz are again heating up. But per the words of Oscar De La Hoya, this time more than anything else, I couldn't believe it when I saw it. And I will let De La Hoya tell you exactly what's going down. But this is a shock to me because this is something I never expected to actively have some grounds or footing. But apparently, after what we saw with Boots Ennis beating Zayas, as you can see up here per Everything Boxing, who's a very resourceful source of information, Boots versus Kelly is being discussed as a potential next opportunity, which is what we wanted to see with Boots to continue to go after championships and titles. Now you can see per Eddie Hearn, there's a good chance that Josh Kelly will fight Boots Ennis in November. There's also a good chance that Fondora will fight Boots, but the reality is Boots wants the belts. By the way, I think Virgil is a possibility. It's a great fight, but Boots wants to win all the belts as soon as possible. That got backed up by Oscar De La Hoya right here in a very, we'll say elaborate get-up, channeling his inner Justin Bieber, talking about what's going down that he sees with De La Hoya, or with Ortiz and Boots. And per the manager's own words, this is the fight that people want, that is most likely going to happen, or they're going to try to make happen, than that Ortiz and Boots want.
But back to business, August 1st. My gosh, we have William Cepeda versus Lamont Roach, Murataya on the undercard, as well as Raul Curiel, who's fighting in Las Vegas, working on Virgil Ortiz versus Boots. Virgil Ortiz wants to fight. Let's make that happen. It all depends on Boots. Working on Ryan Garcia versus Ben. I just got the memo today. So that's the fight that everybody wants to see. So I'm going to make it happen for you guys. Also, Kid Austin versus Badi, fighting for the full world title because Gervonta Davis is on recess, champion on recess. And also Oscar Collazo versus Ricardo Sandoval. Oscar moving 2 weight classes to fight for Ricardo's belt. But back to business.
So, again, a lot was there. A lot of fights either in the works, were just announced, and or are getting set up. That was a quick rundown. But the clip was essentially to say, Boots, Ortiz. Apparently, with all the drama that we just saw with why the fight didn't happen last time, now it's back on the table. I can't believe it. I'm shocked. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. When I say I couldn't believe it, I couldn't believe it. Because we had covered all the entirety of this drama, saying this was most likely not going to happen. This is most likely not going to change. We wouldn't see this up until next year. Minimum. We said we probably wouldn't see that fight up until next year. And now it looks like it is a viable opportunity. Granted, Kelly looks like the most likely situation per Eddie Hearn. But just know now, Ortiz wants to fight per De La Hoya. Now, here's the thing. Ortiz said he wants it, but it's on Boots to accept. Boots, per Eddie Hearn, said that he wants to go after the belts. Though we know we want Ortiz versus Boots. Absolutely. Would you view it as a duck based on what De La Hoya said with this new landscape of potential talks going on? Would you view it as a duck if Ortiz went after Kelly or even a Fundora and didn't go after Ortiz immediately because it wasn't for a title or it wasn't for gaining another title in his ranks? I would love to hear your thoughts on that because some people have some very different opinions on whether or not Ortiz should be the next guy now that it apparently is on the table, or if we should go after the titles first. I want to hear your thoughts on it. But let me see. I do think right now Bam gets the best or gets beat by Inoue, but it'll be very close. I agree. It will be incredibly competitive and close. But I do think Inoue would beat Bam at this point in time. But again, we're going to let me keep on reading everybody's chats first before we continue, because that is a good type of conversation. Freeze Temp, how you doing? Good to see you. We appreciate you on the show. Thank you for showing up and showing out on our live stream today. Boots overall, and look, after what he did against Zayas, I completely understand. Boots over everybody. Also, real quick, I almost forgot to do my plugs for today. If you want to support the channel, we still got Cash App, PayPal, Super Chat, and Super Gifts, and links in the description. If you so choose to help keep this show going, it helps us to pay the bills and to make this show better for you all to witness and enjoy. Back to the topic at hand. Boots over everybody. That's what we want to see. That's what it looks like it's in line for what's coming in Boots' career. Will he fight Ortiz next? That's the biggest question. And personally, I don't think he will. I don't think he will. Honestly, let me see. That Virgil versus Boots fight is going to be very close. For many people, it's going to be a knockdown, drag-out brawl in their eyes as to what we can see happen. And we now know Boots' identity. His brother's a trader, stock market trader, as we said earlier, in light of his performance against Zayas. He's going to be there to get hit, and he's going to be there to hit back. He's going to be there in the danger zone of, I'm going to go and impose my will. I'm going to walk you down. I can box, I can do all that stuff. But when push comes to shove, we're going to not just forget just giving people a show. We are going to go and throw some bombs. We're going to go and trade. And we're going to figure out who's the bigger man. Straight up. Straight up. It's going to be based on what we saw with Zayas, which is most likely also where Virgil wants to fight at. He's a smart fighter, absolutely. But ain't going to be no boxing, moving, and lateral stuff like we saw with Boots and Stanionis. Or Boots versus, not even Boots with Lima. But like we've seen with Boots before, like against Sugar Shaw. It ain't going to be that. It's going to be head-to-head. It's going to be head-to-head, blow for blow. Who can withstand what? We gonna see it. We gonna see it. I can't wait for it. I cannot wait for it. Honestly, if you aren't using lateral movement against Virgil, it gets very dangerous. Yeah, it does. But Boots doesn't want to do that. We have to understand. We have to understand. Boots Ennis does not want, if we're talking about the fight itself, Boots versus Ortiz is going to be straight up head to head. It's not going to be, I'm moving, I'm getting out the way, I'm going to try to box you out. It's not going to be that. It can get to that point sometime. It'll never stay there. It'll never stay there. It will never stay there. We said the same, again, just like we said, Zayas should be able to box and use his length to just keep out of range of Boots' speed and power. But ultimately, he couldn't do that. The fight never allowed for that to happen. That's going to be the same thing for Boots and Ortiz. The fight's not going to be allowed to go outside into a technical boxing class. It's going to be by round 4. All right, we're in a fight. We're in a fight. It's going to be, Boots is going to do similar stuff that he did to Zayas. He's going to try to press forward. Ortiz is going to try to press forward. He's going to walk him down. Ortiz is going to try to walk him down back. They'll exchange, get out the way, and then jump back in. But it's going to be, they're going to be up here, up close, in tight. Short uppercuts and hooks all fight long. There will not be any opportunity to breathe when Ortiz and Boots fight against each other. There won't be. I guarantee you, there will not be a lick of room to breathe every round when they fight against each other. It will be a straight up slugfest. Because that's what both of them want. They can do other things. But in this type of fight, I guarantee you, there's enough bravado, hype, pride, and straight up aggression shared between the two. It can't be anything else. Then we're just going to meet in the middle. And all of our slick stuff, the blocking, the countering, and all that stuff, it's going to be right in front of each other's face. Can you stop me? If not, have fun. Because you're going to be taking a lot of licks. And if you thought you were scared about Boots getting caught before against Zayas, but you're going to be scared now against Zayas, because guess what? He ain't changing. He's not changing. Most likely, he's not changing. He may get more refined, sure. But that style, that's going to be him. I'm almost sure that's going to be him in that Ortiz fight. And it's going to make for an insane fight. It's going to make for an insane fight. That's why I want to see it. It won't happen. It most likely won't happen next. But that's why I want to see it. That's exactly why I want to see it. Let me see. It's gonna get really scary because Ortiz is harder than Boots. Yeah. Does Ortiz is harder than Boots? That's actually a good question now. Does Ortiz is hit harder than Boots? Outright. That's a good question. Excuse me, it's not a question that you posed. This comment just brings up a question. Because you're right, Virgil is the bigger man, and he's bigger than Boots. But is Virgil a harder hitter outright than Boots Ennis? He's definitely a better puncher than Xander Zayas. I'm not doubting that. He'll be the most dangerous puncher that Boots would have ever faced. I'm not doubting that. But is he a better puncher than Boots? Power for power. I don't know. I got to think about that. I got to think about that. Is he a better puncher than Boots? Straight up. Power for power. Boots just had, 35 fights, 32 knockouts in his career? I believe. And shoot. That's a really, you know what, let me put that. You know what, I'm gonna put that in the poll. Excuse me, he's 36-0. My apologies. I had to back wrong. 36-0 with 32 knockouts. Virgil Ortiz is 24 and I think it was 24-0, 25-0 with 22 KOs on his resume? I think it's 22. I could be wrong. But somewhere around that range. I'm not going to lie. Because I might, 23, excuse me, 23. Thank you, 23. Thank you for the correction. I might just have to put that on a poll tomorrow. That might be a question for tomorrow. Who's a better puncher? That's a topic. Shoot. We're trying to cover everything in the last hour. That might be a topic for tomorrow. Who's a better puncher, Boots or Ortiz? Straight up. That's actually a really good question. Okay, 24 KOs, 24 wins, 22 KOs. With, again, better overall competition than who Boots has faced, which he's been one of the most destructive punchers in this division outright. However, Boots, more fights, not as deep of a resume, but best wins, Roman Villa, who had never been knocked out before, he knocked him out. Never been knocked down before, he knocked him out. Zayas, who he knocked out, demolished, and was incredibly tough. Tougher than we all expected. Tough to the point that what he did against Boots in terms of durability, yeah, he got knocked out. But it's going to be like anybody else in this division. It's going to take a lot to knock down Zayas afterwards. Because that buddy it ain't easy to knock that buddy down. In hindsight. And so you taking out people that are really durable. That's okay. We're gonna put this for a poll tomorrow. But I think a good question for today, or to answer this today, Virgil is a better one-hitter quitter. Virgil's a better one-hitter quitter. And straight power for power. I'm fine with saying Virgil is a better outright puncher. Straight. But Boots Ennis, I don't think is that far behind. I don't think he's that far behind at all. Boots Ennis as a puncher. If Virgil's here at the top, Boots is, it's about right here. For me, it's about right here. He ain't putting people out in one go as much as Virgil Ortiz. What he is doing, though, is significant power behind every one of his shots. And they're coming at such a rapid pace. Similar to David Benavidez. They're knocking your head back. You saw against Zayas. It's bludgeoning force, but with concussive succession. That's what it is. It's like a jackhammer. It's like a jackhammer. He won't end you necessarily in one fell swoop, but his shots are strong. They're strong that they're still elite level power, and he hits you with 3 of them. In such a quick pace, it's as if one shot hits you from Virgil Ortiz. And so that's tough. I'll say that Virgil has better straight up power, but Boots Ennis is not far behind in the slightest. It's not that far behind. Boots has enough power to knock out Virgil Ortiz, just as much as Virgil Ortiz can knock out Boots Ennis. Just as much. It's going to be, like I said, we are going to talk about this tomorrow. Almost assuredly. And if I forget to talk about it, bring it back up in conversation. Because there's a lot to delve into too with that. Because Boots Ennis is an enigma of an entity. That though he's a smaller guy in this division, he's not fighting like in the slightest at all. But I'm telling you, against Virgil Ortiz, as much as Virgil is susceptible to knocking out Boots, it's the same thing for Boots to knock out Ortiz. It's the same thing, exact same thing. Let me see. Virgil going to sleep. No, he can't. There's a world where Virgil Ortiz can. Now, Virgil's got a lot of heart. He'll keep on getting up. The Boachuk fight showed you that. But I think the difference is Virgil's need or Virgil's ability to beat Boots is going to come down to his ability to quell the storm when Boots starts to pick up momentum. That's going to be the thing. The way for Virgil Ortiz to beat Boots Ennis, Virgil has to quell the storm of Boots in order to have some success. He does, without a doubt. He does. The biggest thing that we saw with Zayas when he fought against Boots Ennis, when Boots started gaining ground and started to get comfortable, Zayas could not be calm. Well, not calm. Zayas could not turn the tide back at all. He did it for a moment when he hurt Boots, caught him, had 30 seconds to get some stuff done. But after that, when the momentum shifted and Boots got in control, there was no way to get out of control. And the one way that you did, you couldn't take advantage of it. Virgil, that same thing's going to be in place for him. If Boots starts landing shots, using that hand speed and that volume, trading with you and getting the better of these exchanges, causing your defense to have to be more shelled up than responsive with countering, Virgil is going to have a really tough time being able to set the same traps, score with the same shots, and walk down Boots like he wants to, like everybody says that he can. Because hand speed is an insane thing. Hand speed is just like with power. Speed can cover a whole swath of sins if you're fast enough. And right now, Boots is showing the world, yeah, he's fast enough. He's more than fast enough. That he can go through and turn you into mincemeat before you have a chance to recognize what exactly is going on. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be hard. But can Virgil quell the storm of Boots Ennis' speed? If he can't, even though Virgil got a whole bunch of power, he may not even be able to set up that power with the same traps he's been able to do for other opponents. Because just like with Zayas, he won't have time. And if he does have time, it's a very finite amount of time. And that can be a dangerous road. It can be a dangerous thing. It can be incredibly dangerous. It's there for him to get some success. It's just going to be tough. Let me see. I agree, both big punchers, but I don't know. It's going to get real. It's going to be a real good fight. It is. And it's Boots has, I'll say this. Boots was able to outstrength Zayas in their fight. When it was jockeying for position, who was the dominant player imposing their physical will? It was Boots Ennis against Zayas. And Zayas, as we said before, looked like he came to the fight 190, 180, walks around at 200, and was more than healthy going into this fight. And he looked like the bigger man in there outright. Without question. We all said this when we watched the fight live. And there was no question about that. There was also no question that Boots Ennis manhandled Zayas. Where Zayas, not just with the knockdowns, but with the pressure, with the, you could not get him off of you if you tried. You were always giving up ground if you were Zayas fighting against Boots. Nearly the entirety of the fight, even though you were supposed to be able to plant your feet and be like a tree. You got uprooted. That is the strength of Boots. Zayas, Virgil, that's going to be a on top of the speed. It's going to be a daunting task to have happen. Boots ain't going to be leaning on the ropes like we saw with Erickson Lubin. Boots is not going to tire out like we saw, though Madrimov was sick. I think he was sick in that second fight with it was either with Crawford or Virgil. But whichever the case may be, he's not going to tire out moving around or pressuring you like we saw with Madrimov. Madrimov tired out, bouncing, moving around the ring. Boots Ennis won't get tired, pressing forward and looking to attack. And physically, his strength will stay with him all fight long. There's going to be a lot of physical disadvantages that we may not be privy to at first, but may show up on fight night that Virgil Ortiz may be in some real trouble with. It very well could be. Very well could be. Because Zayas wasn't just a better fighter going up against a really good fighter. Zayas was, the biggest thing he had with him was size that could, with his skills, take the day. And his size became obsolete. Virgil, we can assume that size is going to be the same situation. It will be obsolete. It's going to take your skills and your power, but specifically your skills, to make your power relevant. Does he have enough to do that against Boots Ennis? That's going to be the question for a lot of people. And we'll find out. Let me see. I would probably say Virgil would most likely win if there is a stoppage, simply because his defensive flaws aren't as noticeable. Boots by decision, though, is something that you say could happen. If Boots gets hurt, Virgil is going to finish him. But if Virgil gets hurt, I don't know. Madrimov was sick in the last fight and against Virgil. Wait, so he was sick against, wait a minute. He was sick in the Virgil fight and in the most recent fight. So he's been sick subsequently. Wait, hold on. It was an illness both of those fights. Man, I didn't know that. Regardless of which, I'll look that up later. That's surprising. That is surprising. I did not know that. I thought it was only one of them. I didn't know it was both of them. Regardless of which, the point still stands. Whatever the reason those situations happen with Madrimov, Boots, barring sickness, won't have those same situations happen to him. So now it's a matter of if you are Virgil, how do you respond? Can you respond in the first place? Only time will tell, but I think whatever the case may be, it's going to be a knockdown, drag out brawl. I can't wait to witness. It's going to be so exciting. But again, we're still in the championship rounds. We still want to hear your thoughts and opinions on everything involving the world of boxing and beyond. While we're here, we do want to cover some other news in terms of with subsequently, I know we're jumping around, but subsequently when it comes to Gervonta Davis, we now got word from Robert Garcia himself that anyway ain't the only buddy. We got a guy who's anyway ain't the only buddy that's trying to go and call out or wants to get a fight with Bam. Apparently, Tank called out Bam Rodriguez wanting a fight against him. Now that's shocking to me. It's the first time I'm hearing of it. But apparently it's a real thing, and I'll let Robert Garcia tell you himself exactly how that whole exchange went down, and we potentially would have been in this situation. We would have gotten Tank versus Bam, hypothetically, as an actual on-the-table fight. But here we go. I'll let you see it for yourself as we are listening. This was a Pro Box interview. Yeah, it was a Pro Box interview with Algieri and Paulie Malignaggi. And I'll let Robert Garcia explain exactly what happened.
Not happening, who's not going to be fighting anytime soon, and that's Tank Davis. So he's another guy who's been mentioned with all of these guys. He's been calling everybody out. Last Friday on Twitter, he was calling out, I believe, Haney, Shakur, even Floyd Mayweather on social media is calling him out. But according to Mike Coppinger and The Ring, he spoke with Bill Haney, and he was told directly by PBC boss Al Heyman that Davis won't be ready until early 2027. So all that
Chris,
talk, yeah.
Let me tell you guys. You mentioned everybody called out. That's why I'm not surprised that they just announced that he won't be ready to next year. What's all this talk about? What's all this? Oh, I'm ready for this. If you're not ready to fight to next year, that means you have issues. You have problems.
That's why he was calling them out.
Yeah, he stayed in the media.
One person that you guys don't even know, and that's where I'm kind of that's why it's funny to me. You know who else he called out and but he didn't put it on social media. But we have the message, the message he called out Bam.
He called out Bam.
I'm telling you guys.
Anyway, it was too big for him, so he wasn't prepared.
He called out Bam, and he says, "I want to fight you next. I'm gonna talk to Al Heyman to make that fight happen." You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying.
So you got inside. You got inside.
Yeah.
You got inside
He was
info.
blowing out the other guys publicly because he knew it wasn't gonna make the fight anyway because he wasn't gonna be right. But privately, he was hoping he was gonna get Bam. Was much more.
Well, if he called out Bam publicly, he would have got torched. So
exactly.
But, I mean, I guess Inoue was too big for him. Remember a few years ago they were talking about him anyway.
True.
He jumped right over anyway.
This is like when you really don't want to fight but you make like you want to fight, so you get behind your boy.
Hold me back, bro.
Tell your boy to hold you back.
Hold me back.
Anytime you're really not trying to fight. And then if your boy doesn't hold you back, you're like, oh, I was only kidding.
Well, that's the case there with.
Again, I played this clip. I'm not trying to harp. I was just trying. I didn't get to see the end of it, so I was trying to figure out if something else was going down. But it's funny because he's right. We did see initially, he was going to fight anyway a couple years ago. Now calling out again, Lamont Roach. We were all saying when that fight happened with Lamont, that's terrible. That's horrible. It shouldn't take place. That is a bum of a situation. Lamont shocked us all. Great. Still shouldn't have happened because that fight was way below where Tank should have been fighting at. And now it comes out, he called out Ben Rodriguez, who again, at the point of this recording, is still at 118, has not stepped foot yet, I believe, at 122. As of right now. And it's frustrating. And yes, keeping up with the media, trying to keep your name in it, cool, fine, whatever. The point is, why? At this point, now people are just getting reckless. People are catching on and people are getting frustrated. Because now you're this is what I was saying, that the fans of Tank are starting to turn against him. Because now they're starting to see through the facade of what he wants to do in his career. More so what he is as a fighter in his career. And they're not buying it anymore. And he would have, Jake Paul, in a way, Bam, when all these other fighters were all in front of him, like with Shakur, Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez, Lamont Roach, not Lamont, excuse me, Lomachenko, a rematch with Isaac Cruz, now a rematch with Lamont Roach, a rematch with Ryan Garcia. Even at 147, if you wanted to, you could really get up there and fight. Because we think you're that good and you're just not doing it. You ain't really serious. Talking just to talk. To some degree, like you've been doing your entire career. But people didn't believe that. And people hated me. Or rather, I got a lot of detractions for saying that. And now you see exactly what's going on. It's a similar thing. Consistent thing. Let me see. Tank wants that at a catch weight. He didn't, per Robert Garcia, it wasn't nothing about a catch weight. It was just straight up, I want that fight against you at 118. If it is at a catch weight, it would be at 130. Because Tank's not coming down to 126. Tank's not coming down to 126. Not anymore. Those days are long gone behind him. That will be at a catch weight of 130. Most likely. Don't be surprised if rehydration clause would have been there too. But again, it's stupid. But that's what was getting ready to happen. Shushu got to move up. Again, and truth, I think we said this earlier. I don't think he should move up. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why I don't think he should move up. But let me see. That's embarrassing. Why does he keep calling out much smaller fighters himself? Again, easy smoke for him. Easy smoke. Easy money. Easy payday. No challenges from the perspective of level playing field competition. I said this a year ago. Stage true now. This is why I said he has no legacy. Because if you look at his career with context, a lot of his biggest fights are catch weights, bringing somebody up, and situations where somebody wasn't the best that they could have been. Or if they are the best they could be, when you had a chance to fight him, you don't fight him. It's a shame. It's the truth. And that's just him. But where's it? There it is. Truth. Shushu got to move up. He should not move up. And the reason why Shushu Carrington should not move up in weight, I don't think he's good enough to be successful above 126. I do not think he's good enough. I don't think he's good enough to be able to fight at 126 and be successful. I do not think Shushu Carrington is built like that to be able to win at 126. Not right now. Not right now. I don't think so. Shushu Carrington has just showed me that he is able to consistently rise above his competition to the point that the best caliber of talent that needs to fight him is at 130. Do you think his talent can translate up there right now? I don't think so. I don't. He's not even the best in his own division right now, in my estimation. Better than Leo? That's fine. Is he better than Figueroa right now? You may have said yes before this last fight. I can't say that after this last fight. Espinosa, good gosh, no. It's not better than him. Nick Ball versus Carrington, I thought he would be able to beat Nick Ball. Now all of a sudden, that's a little bit more of an interesting fight. We are looking at Shushu as a fighter. Sure, every fight will not be smooth sailing, dominant KO. We're not looking for that. We're looking for the stuff that you do right. How consistently can you do it right? And when you're supposed to do something, how consistently can you do that thing? And right now, we got some concern. I got some concern that you going up to 130, you are not going to be able to do what you've been doing here. You're not going to be able to do it. Not right now. Not right now. If you want to guarantee a loss for him, yeah, he moves up to 130. He doesn't have, I don't think he gets to a title. Or rather, I think he gets to a championship opportunity, but loses. Specifically against the top two names. Because he's not at that level yet. He ain't. More importantly, he can answer that question by fighting the fighters currently at that level, up here at 126. But as you can see right now, sure, he just got a title. He just defended his title, absolutely. But we're going to see how he moves after this. And if he doesn't fight Espinosa or Leo or Figueroa or go after anybody right now that has a belt and goes after another opponent like Renee, with all due respect to Renee, we're going to be looking a little bit sideways because we aren't seeing you against the caliber of talent that can tell me you can fight up at 130 and be successful. At least not right now. At least not right now. Let me see. Schofield should fight El Rayo for the WBA title. I think we just heard Oscar De La Hoya say that Schofield's getting ready to fight for a different championship. Well, which one was it? Which one? It was what was it? It was hold on. Hold on. I'm looking at it right now. Body. He about to fight Body. And wait, hold on. El Rio's at 140, ain't it? Wait a second. We talking about Venezuela or Valenzuela at 140? Wait a. Y'all think he can now? Do y'all think? Yeah. Do y'all think Schofield can fight at 140 now? El Rio came back down to fight. That fight wasn't. Oh, you're right. Thank you. You're right. I thought that fight was at 140. El Rio came back. I thought De Los Santos and El Rio was a fight at 140 pounds. I didn't realize he fought at 135. You're right about that. It came across the graphic when I saw the fight. I completely overlooked it. That's my bad. He did come back down. He is at 135. And he did beat De Los Santos. Knocked out De Los Santos. In dramatic, 2 rounds? 4 rounds? Dramatic fashion. And hit him on the way down as payback for Santos hitting him on the way down when Santos got him with a KO, I believe. Yeah, okay, that fight is on the table at 135. Yes, that should happen. I'm with you there. That fight should happen. I want to see that. I would love to after he fights Body. When, not if, when he beats Body. He's going to beat Body. El Rio versus Schofield. If we don't get Schofield versus Mason, hypothetically, that's the fight I want to see. I would love to see that. That's a good fight. That's not a bad fight at all. That is a good fight for me to see. Absolutely. There's so much smoke at 135. Murataya, Schofield, Loma, Score, El Rio, Roach, Mason. What is Tank doing? We're asking that every day. Now, I think Roach is still at 130, at 140. El Rio moved back down. Shakur is still at 140 for the time being, but wants to come back down. Mason's at 135 currently. Loma just came back to 135. And again, Murataya and Schofield are currently there. But they can flux. Most of these names are in flux to fight between 135 and 140. They're somewhat up and they're also somewhat down. They can go either way. Because of that, that has me saying exactly what you're saying. What is Tank doing? There has never, this division at 135 has just gotten its second wave of talent and depth on the whole for the division. The first wave of talent at 135 passed him by. That's what happened. Or rather, he let it pass him by. The first wave of talent at 135, Tank let pass him by. When it was Teofimo Lopez, Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, Lomachenko, all but Ryan Garcia, he let pass by. And all of them went on to do bigger and better things. Then afterwards, he stayed at 135. Shakur was there. And then when Shakur got to the zenith, it turned into Shakur, now Abdullah Mason, Lomachenko, again, because he's back, Murataya, Schofield, El Rio, with Lamont Roach also there. A whole new sect of 7 names he can have, and again, he's letting it pass him by. I say this because it's not about the legal trouble. This would have happened if he didn't have anything going on. Because when he didn't have nothing going on, he moved in the same way. The opportunity to get some depth in his resume and get some better legacy around his resume in the way that we have been saying Tank has not had in his career is right there for the taking, and Tank is just not doing anything. This time because of legal trouble. Okay, cool. When you get out of that, You're calling everybody out, and then just like we had with Robert Garcia on the interview with Pro Box TV, you were calling out in secret Bam Rodriguez at 118 pounds. You're not about that life. You're not about the respect. You're not about the legacy. Okay, cool. You're not even about a fair fight. You're not. That's a punk move. If we're going to be completely honest, call it like we see it. That's a punk move. That's a punk move. Because you, why? Are making all this noise and bravado, and then you letting it be hidden. You calling out somebody at 118. What type of bum does something like that? Yeah, what type of bum does something like that? I'll tell you the type of bum. Tank being that type of bum. Because he was doing this before legal issues, during legal issues, and he'll do this after legal issues. Because this is Tank. This is why I don't mince words when I talk about Tank. This is why I don't trip over my own feet when I'm discussing Tank as a fighter, because there's nothing to trip over. I said what I said, and I mean what I said. This brother should not gain the respect of the boxing public in the way that he's gotten right now, because this brother is not nowhere close to a level of legacy worthy of respect. He beat 14 champions after they fought him. And most of them catch weight, rehydration clause, bringing you up to his division. You beat Mario Barrios, that's a great win. And then you didn't move afterwards. You had Haney in your sights, you let him go. You had Lomachenko in your sights, you let him go. You had Shakur directly there, fitting everything you said he needed to fit to be big enough to be able to fight you as a name. He did that. Beat a brother you didn't even fight at 135 in Teofimo Lopez at a bigger division of 140. Took his belt, and you still did nothing. And all the talk about what you are, all of a sudden you waking up now. You ain't waking up nothing. Ain't doing a doggone thing except for tweeting and typing. The most action you've been having is your thumbs and fingers. Not no actual in-ring experience. Not no actual in-ring bravado to show us something. Not even attempting. Because all you do is talk. When you were free, you talked. And you backed it up maybe but a handful of times against a handful of opponents that were supposed to be in the ring with you. And like with Pedraza, when you didn't want to fight somebody that was supposed to be in the ring with you, you said he was a setup. Per your own words. So ain't me making up stuff. This is a quote from Tank. Floyd Mayweather was trying to set me up to lose. I didn't want to fight Pedraza. Knockout of the year against Leo Santa Cruz. He came up from 118, 115, 2 weight classes to fight you. Ridiculous. And he still gave you, before the knockout, some good work. You beat him. Great. But context, brother, context. If people with Tank's career overlook the context of his entire makeup as a boxer. And that's what frustrates me the most. Tank without context is the greatest thing since sliced bread.
And he floats like a butterfly and hits like a tree.
That's what everybody can say about him. This buddy's a monster. He's a menace. He's scary. Everybody get your DVRs ready to record what's getting ready to go down. Without context, so inciting. With context, you couldn't look this brother in the eye. You couldn't. Because you will be saying, all my rah-rah wasn't really up to par, was it? This brother, with context, without just the cover, when you actually open the book, it ain't that great, is it? It ain't that special, is it? always got the potential to be a spectacular novel. It definitely got the foundational pieces. But if this thing got flushed out, it could be one of the greatest works of fiction we've ever seen. But that's on the author at that point, no matter how much skills he has with his pen. And right now, Tank has stopped writing of his own accord. And whatever he does write is a bunch of slop. That's the truth. Y'all keep bringing up what he did or the champ he beat 14 or 15 eventual champions. What were they when you fought him? What was the talking point when you were in the ring with them? Were they viewed as that fighter now? Should everybody on Tank's career be a Canelo story? After what I mean by that, after Canelo fought Floyd Mayweather, he flipped the switch and turned from those lessons that he learned from Floyd into a better fighter. Perfectly fine. But he wasn't at that level to beat Floyd. He was excited. He was hungry. Wasn't that skilled yet and got that skilled afterwards. Great. Should every fighter that Tank be in the ring with have a Canelo story where they're not good up until after you fight them? Or should we be having some people, you were that good when you stepped in the ring with them, and this brother just beat you? My gosh. Already established greatness. Already established respect. Not after you beat me, you got a title. That can happen. That shouldn't be the story for every opponent. Because guess what that means? You beat everybody before they got to be good enough to give you a test. And even when you did fight them, when they were a test, surprisingly, like with Lamont Roach, who was a champion before you fought him. Hey, you didn't want a rematch. You immediately went to Jake Paul publicly after this fight with Lamont, and then you wouldn't take a rematch afterwards. Devin Haney was already established. You never even swung at that brother. Ryan Garcia, established name? Absolutely. I don't detract from that win. Context, though. There was a clear gap in ability. That this was not going to be a fight that Ryan Garcia could win. He was not that good at all. At all. The Ryan Garcia against Devin Haney would have a better shot at beating Tank than the Ryan Garcia that fought against Tank. But everybody should not be, this guy now was able to beat you. You should have some people on your resume that when, like Roy Jones said about Floyd, when they are already great, you went and fought them and took them out. That's a thing that Roy Jones had a problem with Floyd Mayweather. Whether you agree or disagree, that's up to you. I'm simply using that quote to paint a picture of what we're experiencing now. There is nobody on Tank's list, except for maybe one or two or maybe three names, that were already that great when Tank fought him and he beat him. And now, oh wow. But most of his wins, afterwards, now they reach their potential. But never after they already got it. It's a shame. It's a shame. That's a problem. That is a problem. That's an outright problem. Let me see. Who should Lomachenko fight? I mean, for his first fight back at 135. Damn. That's a good question. There is a potential. There's a potential that he might try to fight against immediately the top brass from the jump. It's a dangerous potential, but it's a potential nonetheless. Like a Murataya. I don't think you should do that first. Andy Cruz, I don't think you should do that first. I think, in fact, I'm going to go through the list. Let me see. I think who he should fight as a fighter at 135 coming back into the division. What would be a good fight to have Lomachenko come back with? That's a really good question. That's a. Let me pull up the names. Let me see. At 135, not Murataya, not Mason, not Cruz. Oh, I got it. Sam Noakes. Sam Noakes. That's who you should fight. Again, it's a dangerous fight, I understand. It's a very heavy-handed puncher. Very demonstrative fighter. But if we want to see, it's shocking, I understand. But I say this because Lomachenko's gonna jump in to a deep end fight, whether I want him to or not. If he does do that, give him Noakes. Noakes would be the easiest brother for him to beat due to Noakes is not a great mover at all. Noakes is the type of fighter that Lomachenko boxes circles around every time. And he's did it when better plotters were at 135 that he fought and was making people quit. And if you just want to be able to say, I'm still in danger and I'm still a threat and I'm going to get somebody who ain't a champion but is still in championship contention to keep me in the loop, Noakes will be the perfect guy. Because if he beats him, he's going to box beautifully. He's going to make Sam Noakes most likely look foolish. There could be a situation where he gets another quitting on his stool situation. And if not, his offense is going to be able to shine. Because he may not be as durable as Abdullah Mason. So guess what he's going to do? He's going to use all the footwork he has to turn Noakes around, catch him with punches, land when he isn't expecting, and make him essentially look like he's everywhere all at once in the ring. And in the night, unanimous decision, maybe a knockdown or two. Oh, I'm back. I'm here. I'm good. And I'm a threat. I think that would be the best thing. I think that would be the best thing. Let me see. Now Loma's going to whoop him, but Noakes is huge. He is. But, I mean, you want Joe Cordina? Because Lomachenko's coming back, and he's coming back, potentially for the last hurrah, if we're going to get him to come through, knowing how we know Lomachenko moves, I'm trying to speed this up along to get him into championship windows because I don't know how much longer his legs are going to be able to be what they can be. So in my frame of thinking, he's already an established name. He's already a big-time mover of money. We don't want people to get out of the division before you get a chance to fight him. Put him in there. Put him in there. Let me see. Yeah, I hear you about what a power puncher Herrera is. Yeah. Now Herrera, I'm not doing Herrera. I'm not putting him against J.D. Herrera. No. As a first fight back, there's a deep end. There's also a limit. Lomachenko can't beat him. Absolutely. But if we want to go with the best way to put danger in there, but danger that is beatable, to set up the bigger fights, Sam Noakes is the best option over everybody. But Herrera, if he beats Herrera, my gosh, everybody look out. Sure, he can be better than him. It's just the hiatus of the first fight. It's just the unknown. And you don't want to potentially put a bad position to stop the campaign of championship aspirations before it starts again by getting beat by Herrera. For Herrera, it'll be a phenomenal win. But for Lomachenko, that's it. Most likely, that's it. If he loses that, that's a big risk. And I would want that fight if Lomachenko got a belt at 135 first. Then fight Herrera. Because now you got the goal. Now take on the challengers. That's what I want to see. But initially, that's too steep. That's too steep. Let me see. El Valle was a good option too, especially since he just stopped De Los Santos. He is. But I'm thinking of the extremes of how dangerous I can push this Lomachenko return up to make him most viable in people's eyes. We want to see him in a championship fight right now. I think Noakes would fit that bill. Valle, it would fit the bill somewhat. He'd win. After the De Los Santos fight, everybody be excited. He'll beat him. Absolutely. But for me, I think Noakes would be the safest, dangerous option. Though he's still dangerous. But El Valle, yeah, he could beat him. I'm just scared that people may not move the needle because of that win as much. Even with the knockout of De Los Santos. Now, I could be underestimating what this De Los Santos KO has done for Valle's name. And subsequently, that win could be seen as, hey, give him a title shot next. Yeah, we want to see him now. That's a phenomenal win. Maybe so. But again, that's just me. That's just me. Let me see. Noakes is big and it's a power punch. That narrative probably would be the best. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Because of the goal that we're trying to push, that would be the best thing. Albert Bell? No, not Albert Bell. No. You don't want to. How do we say this? And this will be the last thing before I get out of here. You don't want to bore Lomachenko's return. He'll beat Albert Bell. He'll beat Albert Bell easy. What Mason struggled with, Lomachenko will not struggle with against Bell. Boxing for boxing, Lomachenko will make Bell look like a chump. I'll say that right now. He'll make him look like a chump. Lomachenko will make Bell look foolish. Because Bell will try to fight Lomachenko's game. And he is well and good above that. I don't think that would turn into a boring fight. Because Bell will be like, oh my gosh, Bell has no shot. None. Most likely. So I wouldn't want to see that. It would not be a bad win. What I'm trying to do for Loma, it wouldn't do that to move him forward. So I wouldn't do that. Let me see. What about Asanu? What's it? Asanu Shuutski? Asanu Shuutski. If he fought against Lomachenko, you know what? Still no. I wouldn't want that. Because that might, again, that fight could be another one-sided affair. Understand? And again, like I said, the whole point is you want a fight that has gravity and danger. That if Lomachenko wins, it will push him, boom. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Two different names. Dimitri Asanu and Shu Utsuki. Two separate people. My apologies. I don't think either of them would pose the threat of danger as well as make people look at Lomachenko as anything more than he is right now, which is not bad. But if he fought any of them at this stage in Lomachenko's career, he would have to fight again to probably get a world title shot or to further bolster the stuff to elevate forward. People may look at those two fights or any of those fights that Lomachenko took him as potentially tune-ups. I'm not saying they're that bad, that they are just tune-up fights. But the public perception for Loma would be, should we care? Do we care? Will we care after this return? I don't think they would. Or I think the answer would be no to all of those questions. Strictly because of where they view Lomachenko and where they would view Utsuki or Demetrius. That might hurt the quickness to get Loma into the fast cycle. And last name, Navarrete. Now see now just like I said with Danger, that's sticking. That's the other end of the spectrum. I think I said this before. I don't think Loma for the first fight back against Emmanuel Navarrete, I don't know, even as great as Loma is, that he should fight him immediately. I don't, hold on now, wait a minute. Wait a second. No, Loma, don't fight him first. Loma, do not fight Navarrete first. Unless we're talking about a different Navarrete. If we are, I apologize. When we talk about fighting Emmanuel Navarrete, bringing him up to 135 as a fight before the championships at 130, no, don't. Stay away. For now, stay away. I don't want to see. Excuse me. I want to see the fight, sure. But I've said this before about Navarrete. Even with the caliber of fighter Lomachenko is, that fight will be a fight that will be so unorthodox. It might give Lomachenko some real problems. And he could be put in unforeseen real trouble because of the amount of insanity and enigma-like form that we see Navarrete have. I'd be horrified. I would be scared to death if Lomachenko fought Navarrete. Because I understand, if there was any fight that could potentially be a straight-up clean loss again, Navarrete, because of that uncertainty of his own offense, good gosh. And that's your first fight after 2 years off? Woo! I love you, Loma. I'm horrified if you take that fight. I'm horrified if you took that fight. But again, that's just me. But it's a name. Absolutely. That might be jumping the shark. My gosh. That might be scary. Let me see. What if Navarrete has a bad weight cut and he's like when he fought Berinchyk? Maybe. But he got a nutritionist now. I don't think he's ever having a bad weight cut again because he's actually taking care of himself. So, like, again, this is a better Navarrete than before. I'm scared. I'm telling you that there's no good way. There's no good way to fight Navarrete at this stage in his career. But look, we'll talk about that more tomorrow. Just know, that's a dangerous fight. If Lomachenko does take that, I'd be scared to death. I can promise you that right now. But with all that being said, we are well past the hour mark of this show that we normally end off on. But hey, we're coming back, so we enjoy you all here. We gotta go. We gotta get out of here. And we gotta end this show off with a bang and get ready for tomorrow afternoon. So with all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, no, wrong button. Hold on. There we go. This has been another episode of The Welch Report with me, your host, Jean-Luc Welch. We thank you to everybody who supported on stream and chatted. Thank you, Matt Borgeson, for the collective, what was it, $11 in super chat, and everybody else who came through and subscribed and who came and chatted and who came and added into our conversation in the world of boxing and beyond. We appreciate the love. We appreciate the support. We appreciate all of you joining in with us on today. We can't wait to be back with you all on Friday afternoon. Earlier time, back to our normal scheduled program, but same place and same channel. Be sure before you leave a like on the video, comment your thoughts and opinions on what you liked or didn't like about the show. One like makes a world of difference to help us grow as a community. And please be sure to go through and subscribe to the channel. Come on, join the empire. Be a part of the hottest show in all of the globe and join our community. And be sure to hit the notification bell so you know whenever we post right here on YouTube and on every podcasting platform imaginable. Apple, Spotify, you name it, we are there. You can listen to us on the go, in your car, at your job, with your boss, wherever you may be, and rate us 5 stars wherever you listen to podcasts. And please, if you can, support the channel. We have wrong way. We got Cash App, PayPal, links down below in the description, super chat, super gift, stickers, and the like. If you can't afford to give to this channel, it would mean the world to us, to help us to grow as a community, helps me to pay the bills, and helps us to go through and edify this show and add to this show to make it bigger, better, and stronger for your viewing and listening pleasure. Because we're like PBS, we're funded by viewers like you, and we don't take nothing for granted. We appreciate it so much. But I've been Jean-Luc Welch. You all have been absolutely wonderful. We're going to be back on Friday for the championship rounds. Be safe, be blessed, peace and love. We are ready. I got my whole outro. Peace and love. We are out here. Yes, sir. Salute to you. We're going to see you all on Friday afternoon. Be safe, be blessed, have a wonderful day, and we are going to let y'all go. And hey, can't wait to see y'all tomorrow.